me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I'ma keep chasing. I got all this potential that's deep inside of me, but they hate when you're successful cause they try to be. They sit there being judgmental because you're trying things, and they just want you to settle and do the right thing. So get a good job, don't slack off. Wake up every morning, make a good impression on your boss. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do, and when you're making money, make sure you don't spend it too soon. Fuck that, I'll do what I wanna do. I got a different path from everyone, and that includes you. Who are you to tell me how to live life? In these times it feels like nobody's right, yeah. So I'ma figure out what else we succeed, and then invest all of my time into that and proceed. I need whatever the hell could make me happy, and I don't think you have a clue what could that be. They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that can make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I'ma keep chasing. They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that can make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I'ma keep chasing. I think this life could be special if I get rid of the devils. They think that I am a rebel, I think they want me to settle. There's nobody on my level. They think that work is too stressful, I think that work is essential. The grind is all in your mental, and I don't think you understand what I'll go through just to be in control of my life soon. All the negativity, man, I'm immune. I don't really need a mask with all I've been through. I've been making changes for the ages. 5-10 year plans are contagious. I attack that shit, I'm tenacious. And if you ain't, get the fuck out of my way then. Got one life, I won't regret it. I will fight until I get it. I'll look back one day from heaven and say, damn, I learned some lessons. And say, damn, I had no questions. I had fun in every second, and the journey was a blessing, yeah. They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that can make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I'ma keep chasing. They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that can make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I'ma keep chasing.
I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hates like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Took until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind, you know I'll always manifest it.
And good morning and welcome to My Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick. Let's go ahead and start out the show. Getting my medicine all rolled up and ready to go. We do have some news to go over, and we're going to go right to it right now. So without further ado, let me just set this up real quick. And here we go.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 7:56 on the East Coast and 4:56 on the West Coast. It is Friday, September 12th. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'll be with you for the next several hours to bring you all of your top stories, live events, and breaking news from across the country and across the world. Right now, we are awaiting a live image coming in out of Utah Valley University. That is where Charlie Kirk was killed less than 48 hours ago, assassinated as he was speaking to a large group. Now, we have had the live images of the scene there as investigators are still working to comb over all the evidence and find his killer. Doug Luzader at Fox News has much more of the latest information.
Some of this under wraps, the FBI is now showing more and more images of the alleged gunman who, despite an intense manhunt, remains at large. A vigil for Charlie Kirk last night in Utah, the same day that Air Force Two and Vice President J.D. Vance helped bring Kirk back home to Phoenix.
He's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground.
Investigators last night, meantime, showed off new surveillance video of the man they believe shot Kirk from a rooftop. It shows him jumping off before walking away and disappearing into a neighborhood. There are also new still images of the suspect, but no clear look at his face as the manhunt continues. Utah's governor promised he would be caught.
We have 20 federal, state, and local partners that are working shoulder to shoulder to find the person who committed this horrific crime.
President Trump asked whether he was concerned about his own safety now.
Not really. I'm really concerned for our country. We have a great country. We have a radical left group of lunatics out there, just absolute lunatics.
And despite largely bipartisan condemnation of the attack, there has been finger pointing.
Okay,
You say people who are saying Democrats need to lower their temperatures.
Oh, please. You know, right. Why don't you start with the President of the United States?
She's a mess.
Right.
The president, meantime, plans to attend Kirk's funeral this weekend.
I believe it's in
I want to
Arizona.
pick up my fingers.
And they've asked me to go, and I think I have an obligation to do it.
And the White House also announced that Kirk would be awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor.
Over here.
In Washington,
There you go.
Doug Luzader, Fox News.
You got the medicine all rolled up.
And as we do follow the latest on everything related to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, you can see there in Doug's story that we heard from President Trump as he was asked questions about the assassination and what happens next here. There were some other topics discussed as well, but it was only about 5 minutes in length. I want to play it for you in case you missed it late yesterday here on Live Now from Fox.
Not really. I'm really concerned for our country. We have a great country. We have a radical left group of lunatics out there, just absolute lunatics, and we're going to get that problem solved.
There's some breaking news happening right now.
How do you want to see your supporters?
There's a suspect in custody.
Big advocate of nonviolence and free speech on campus. How do you want your supporters to respond, sir?
I think that way. He was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond. Say it? I did. I spoke to Erica, his wife, and we had a long talk, and she's devastated. She's absolutely devastated, as you can imagine.
Are you concerned?
I don't know what you're saying.
When, Mr. President, are you planning to bring both presidents, the president of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, and president of Rwanda?
They're coming soon. They're coming soon. And as you know, I spoke to their foreign ministers. They were here a couple of weeks ago, as you remember. and they'll be coming soon. The presidents are coming very soon.
This week, Mr. President, I witnessed more than 60 people in DRC Congo were killed. There is people affiliated with ISIS. Terrorist groups are taking advantage because of the situation going on because of the war. So what is your word for Congolese people?
Well, we're going to be talking to them. As you know, we are talking to them. It's a very violent place. It's very, very violent. For a long time, it's been going on for 30 years, 35 years even, they say. But we're going to handle it. Thank you. Can't understand.
What do you think about the media that justify the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I think it's terrible. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. It's terrible.
Okay, we're gonna pause this real quick. We're gonna go over to breaking news. So let's jump over to the breaking news right now. If it lets me play.
JD Vance was supposed to be with you. He went out to be with Charlie Kirk's family and to get the body back to his hometown in Arizona. And you said you were going to award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is very nice of you. Any updates on this suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued and we all don't get sued and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him. In custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, it's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But yeah, I think we're in great shape.
Mr. President,
he's in custody.
Your suspicion was that he was radical left, and now you have more information. What can you share with us about his ideology?
Yeah, Lawrence, let me just, and by the way, Lawrence is doing a good job. What's going on? I'll tell you what, I'm very proud of you. I said we're going to do well. Yeah, I think that I don't want to go too far. I'd like to tell you some stories at how it happened, but essentially somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you had some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned him, you know, they said, whoa, it's interesting. Where we had very good pictures, but not great, not perfect. And when you look at it, what happened is somebody, and this happens a lot. It happened with the crazy Boston bomber. It happened with others. Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him. And essentially went to the father, went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister. And brought him to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic. And the father convinced the son, this is it. And again, I'm always subject to be corrected, but you know, I'm just giving you, based on what I'm hearing, they'll give you a much more active. I just heard about it 5 minutes before I walked in. As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted. So you have breaking news, don't you? Huh?
Thank you.
You always have breaking news, Ainsley. Sean's going to be very disappointed that that we're not doing it on his show.
He'll be very thankful and appreciative of the police officers that got this guy.
They did a great job. Everybody worked together. Pam Bondi is incredible, by the way. People don't know what a star she is. She's incredible. And it all worked out.
Could I ask you just some clarification? So a pastor was able to turn him in, or they got the family of the shooter to turn them in?
Well, it was a minister, and the minister went to a minister who was involved with law enforcement, by the way. And his good friend is a top U.S. Marshal. And they took it from there. And then it was a father got involved, namely his father, and said, we got to go in. And they, so I understand it. And again, subject to change, but you know, the facts are the facts. We have the person that we think is the person we're looking for. But they drove into the police headquarters, and he's there now.
Did the father know about what the son had done?
I don't know. I'm going to let you get all those questions later, because I can't tell you how accurate. The bottom line is they have somebody that they think did it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
Wow.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
So
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here.
Come on, run this out here. Let's carry this out here. Let's start here.
In between the devastation, they want to keep Turning Point USA going. That was, of course, founded there by Charlie Kirk. He is the founder, CEO. We carried a lot of his events here as he held them on Live Now from Fox. We brought those to you in full. But it looks like, according to his wife, they do want to keep a Turning Point going even after his death. The president also saying, quote, Don, referring to his son, said to me, he's sort of like a son to you. He started this really during what would normally be college, and it's become a movement. I've never seen young people or any group go to one person like they did to Charlie. He also said that he hopes this suspect, quote, gets the death penalty. He also said that, quote, somebody that was very close to him turned him in, and it sounds like it was a church member or pastor based on what we're hearing so far. Again, a lot of information still left to determine here, but we are going to pop this up on your screen once again as Matt Finn at Fox News saying sources tell Fox that the Charlie Kirk assassin was taken into custody in southern Utah. We are on the ground and on the way. I mentioned here that Scott Duffy
he went
is a friend of the show.
Something was telling me he was going south
to discuss situations like this.
And, I knew he was still in Utah.
If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. All right, we're going to bring you in right now. Thank you so much for being with us here on short notice, Scott, as we cover this breaking story.
Yeah, good morning.
Breaking news.
Truly breaking story.
Yeah, and I did want to ask here, one thing that President Trump has said overall is essentially that at this point, it's someone close to him that turned him in. So a question that I did want to ask you, just based on your law enforcement background and your expertise there, is this something that happens a lot? Someone close to them does turn them in?
I can't say it happens a lot, but I will say in my quite a few years of just hunting local fugitives for local crimes, never made it to the news, often we were successful because of our ability to interview close family or friends, and ultimately they pointed us in the right direction.
And I also want to ask here about the investigation, because we know there were several clues, so to speak, that were left behind, evidence there. We've heard about some of what was collected on the actual rooftop itself. And there was shoe impressions, a forearm imprint, and a palm print. How pivotal is that in an investigation like this, where time has passed and it appears that person is not still there on the college campus?
Yeah, it's vital to an investigation. It's one thing for somebody to call, as President Trump revealed this morning with regards to a suspect, possible suspect in custody. It's one thing for somebody to say, I believe somebody who I know did it, and so thereby turn them in. Either law enforcement comes forcibly or that person is brought to a police department. It's another thing to tie the evidence together to ensure that it's not a false confession, it's not somebody just looking for the limelight, but truly is responsible for the shooting. And all those pieces of evidence, and I imagine there's quite a few pieces of evidence that have been recovered and just not being told to the public yet, that are all going to tie this individual to being that of the shooter.
One thing that's interesting is a lot of times in situations like this, you do see a flow of information that happens steadily. The information comes out. I want to get your take on what we've seen so far in these news conferences. Yesterday, we heard from the governor last night. Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, was there as well. Also, Utah Division of Public Safety. So what do you think about the flow of information? But also on that same note, how does it change things when you have a suspect who is alive. Obviously, if they're not alive, you can maybe release a little bit more information, but there is still a case to build against this person.
Yeah, I think that's a waste of time.
Now the hard part,
I don't know why we wasted time doing
with
that.
regards to the prosecution, and this is where
bullshit.
Your prosecuting attorneys, whether it be a federal or state case, that now it's a matter of putting all that evidence forth and ensuring that this gets delivered to a jury if there's no plea, and ultimately a conviction. So it is a laborious set of circumstances.
Laborious.
And for day one, I do believe it was a little bit of a debacle with regards to confusing messaging from law enforcement, both from our side of the house, the local law enforcement side of the house. And then I believe in day two, everybody seemed to come together. I thought last night's press conference was very telling. First and foremost, you had the governor pretty much running it as opposed to law enforcement. You had the silence of the FBI director. That just told me that everyone was on the same page. And now it was, let's stop any confusing messaging and let's ensure that what we have is delivered to the public. And it's the public that ultimately brought this to hopefully a close by getting this person off the street.
I wanted to get your take on what we heard from investigators here about them finding this high-powered rifle that was there in a wooded area, they say, right near the university. How do investigators go about confirming if that is actually the murder weapon, the weapon that was used to assassinate Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, so there are experts out there, right? So it's going to be delivered to a laboratory, a crime laboratory, whether it be the FBI or Utah DPS. And so they're going to be able to take that weapon, match what they have recovered with regards to the bullet that struck Charlie, and be able to do their ballistics, as well as going through DNA, fingerprint analysis and whatnot, anything from the gun, and ultimately tie it back to the shooter.
What do you think, as far as just, again, based on what you've seen with your expertise and your law enforcement background, how much information is it likely that investigators will release about all of this and how they track down the suspect? President Trump saying that he is in custody. They did release a few details, but again, we are waiting on a little bit more about this. But do they tend to release a lot of information at first when they do make an arrest, or do they have to kind of hold it close to the vest, so to speak?
It all depends where this goes at the end of the day. So, Josh, you're talking about, is this going to be a federal prosecution? Is it going to be a state prosecution? If it's a state prosecution, what is Utah law with regards to what law enforcement is allowed to give out, right? So it ultimately comes out down to who's the prosecuting lead agency, as well as the prosecutorial
Utah
agency.
does have the
So
state.
that will be
They do have the
decided upon.
deputy.
It's possible that this will stay in the state and the feds will follow it. It's possible there will be some sort of joint prosecution, one way or the other, where a state prosecutor can be elevated to an assistant U.S. attorney, as I have seen that in Delaware. So at the end of the day, both the federal and the state authorities will come together, decide where is the best bang for the buck.
Chloe, are you still here?
And what can be done to ensure not only is
If
this
you're
person
still here,
prosecuted to the full extent of the law,
I want to
but
know
it
when
must
you're going to
be
have that
a
site up.
deterrent to others, because we are
I
seeing
want
a
to see it.
rise in
You
political
have me
violence.
here with
And so
anticipation.
where we are coming to terms with security protocols on how to deter this while still allowing people to express freedom of speech and talk about what they want in public forums. We also have to figure out how to better protect and secure and deter those who are thinking of this.
What I'm showing right now is some of the video that surfaced afterward from folks who were there on campus. One of them is from a reporter who was there just kind of covering all of this. And you heard the gunshots in one of the videos. And obviously that was a shock. His son is there. He starts running. One thing I did want to ask you, obviously at this point, just about everyone has a cell phone on them. They pull it out whenever anything happens. How pivotal is that video like this, where you can't necessarily see who the gunman is, but you can get a better view of the scene. How does that help investigators to kind of work and piece all of this together?
It's pivotal. It's amazing in today's day and age in 2025, with everyone having video, regardless of the campus having their security, their cameras. Perhaps there's drone footage we just haven't yet seen. But each and every one of those individuals that were taping something, it's important that it gets into law enforcement's hand. And this is why the FBI is a phenomenal resource, if anything, with regards to their ability to take each and every one of those video footage, have it uploaded, analyzed with everything that we have at our disposal to be able to document, as we have already seen with just a little bit of video that was given to the media, with regards to ring cameras and video footage from different sources, to be able to track steps, to be able to see things as a Monday morning quarterback, as opposed to, hey, somebody's watching it real time, is alerted to something, and so thereby maybe security could have acted. But now we are in a prosecutorial stage, and so each and every one of those pieces of footage are going to be vital to a prosecution, to being able to deliver it to a jury. And gosh, it's going to be amazing to see when that's all put together, to say there's no doubt in our mind that the person we have in custody and has been charged is responsible for the shooting of Charlie Kirk.
I've asked you a lot of questions based on your legal experience. Of course, that's why we have you here, to help kind of break it down, law enforcement experience. I mean, when we talk about a reward of $100,000, that is essentially what the FBI said day 2 of this search. They came out and said, we are offering up to $100,000 for information that leads to the identity of this person and that leads to their arrest and conviction. $100,000, does that indicate to someone that, hey, we're taking this so seriously that we have this huge cash reward that we're offering? What does that indicate to you?
Yeah, it's it says exactly what you're talking about, Josh. And I would imagine in every homicide detective out there, everyone that's working major crimes, they probably wish they had a pot of gold to be able to give out to spur these type of tips. So this is again where federal resources are leveraged. We're able to get additional monies where somebody is pondering, thinking like, hey, I know that person, but I haven't quite thought about it. Perhaps their moral compass is not there, but money can also help push people over that edge, and it's another resource to solve a crime.
How exactly do law enforcement agents go about kind of combating misinformation? That's something that we actually heard from the governor about last night. He was saying, pay attention to the official channels and the official information that is coming through. Don't just essentially go and believe anything you see on social media. So how do law enforcement specifically go about combating incorrect information, misinformation, and disinformation that's coming out?
To the line detectives, they're not too worried about misinformation, right? Tips are coming in, and they could be bad tips. They could be tips that people are very legitimately thinking, hey, I know this person, and this person is in this corner of the world. Law enforcement can be able to quickly look at that and say, okay, thank you for the tip, but that is not something that's reasonably possible. And so they'll put that on the back burner. With regards to messaging from law enforcement is essential, that it is proper, it is appropriate, and that it is true, right? In order to keep the trust of the public in hearing from their government, from law enforcement, that what is happening,
this is breaking news,
told is true. So the little bit of
everybody's jumping on this now
of communication in the beginning was a misstep. I think it was quickly rectified, and appreciate the one source of information as a result of last night's press conference.
One thing that's interesting is when the FBI did release these photos right here, they called it a person of interest. They did not use the word suspect. They didn't say accused shooter, anything of that nature. Can you explain when a person of interest does become an actual suspect in a case like this? What is the difference for law enforcement specifically?
So I go back with a good old friend, Detective Phil Waters, where we constantly debate amongst ourselves the terminology of person of interest versus suspect. So in law enforcement, it's a suspect, and that means you're simply suspected of doing something until proven by law enforcement that you're no longer a suspect. And so I think it's a little bit of a terminology issue as opposed to, hey, a person of interest is not a suspect and vice versa. I tend to believe with Detective Waters and the like of my own inner circle that a suspect is a suspect. They're simply somebody that law enforcement wants to talk to, could be a witness that that we want to identify, talk with, and get in front with and be able to get further down the investigation. And so when a person of interest versus a person who's a suspect, I believe really that's a terminology that comes down to whoever wants to say the particular word. But in my world, I stick with the suspect and until they're no longer a suspect.
And if you are just joining us right now, I do want to remind you that we are awaiting a news conference with the FBI, the Governor Spencer Cox of Utah, and other officials there, including the Utah Department of Public Safety. We are awaiting that news conference, which should start sometime around 9 a.m. Eastern time. That's in just about 18 minutes after it announced that
Just get it up.
I do say the shooter left behind the gun and ammo in a wooded area that was near the university. Evidence collected from the rooftop, including shoe impressions, a forearm imprint, and a palm print. Governor Spencer Cox had a strong message for the public last night. He was urging them to help in any way they could to identify that person. We also know that a reward of up to $100,000 was offered by the FBI for the arrest and conviction of Kirk's killer. That was announced about 24 hours after the killing itself happened. And now TMZ obtained some video as well showing that person of interest, they say, both before and after that shooting. So Kirk, if you are not familiar with this, was speaking Wednesday at an event
TMZ is a piece of shit.
Utah Valley University when a single gunshot was fired from a nearby
It's time to go heat up the coffee.
There, the conservative activist who founded Turning Point was rushed over to a hospital, and just hours later, President Trump made the announcement on Truth Social that Kirk had passed away from his injuries. Obviously, a motive right now does remain up in the air, but we heard from Governor Cox, who said this was a targeted attack and it was politically motivated. We also know that Kirk's casket was flown yesterday aboard Air Force Two over to Arizona, where he traveled alongside his family. Not quite clear on funeral arrangements just yet, but according to Trump, this is likely to happen sometime next weekend. That would be about a week from now. So we're going to wait to get those actual arrangements. Not clear if they were waiting for this arrest prior to that. But again, this murder happening less than 48 hours ago, an assassination that took place as folks were gathered, large crowds. We're talking hundreds, if not thousands of people that were gathered there. As all of this was happening, that one single gunshot that was fired, appearing in video to strike Kirk in his neck. He was then rushed over to a hospital and, as I mentioned, died from his injuries. As of right now, President Trump did speak with Fox News and provided a little bit more information about this. He did say that it appeared that a suspect was in custody, essentially saying, we got him. I'm going to go over some of the other comments that Trump mentioned while he was speaking with Fox News about all of this. Now, he did say, quote, with a high degree of certainty, the suspect in the Charlie Kirk killing has been caught. Federal investigators, state officials there released photos and a video of the person that they believe to be responsible. Kirk was shot, as I mentioned, as he spoke to a crowd gathered in a courtyard there at Utah Valley University, that is over in Orem, Utah. We also know from the FBI that more than 7,000 leads and tips had poured in, and authorities have yet to publicly name the suspect or cite a motive in the killing. But it is, of course, the latest act of political violence in the U.S. Right now, we're taking a live look at the podium. As any moment now, we do expect that we are going to hear from from officials there, the FBI and other folks who essentially are just going to provide some information. We're not quite clear how much information we are going to get, but we're going to keep this up and, of course, let you know as we do get it. And if you are just joining us here on Live Now from Fox, it is now 9:06 on the East Coast and 6:06 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I've been with you for the past several hours to bring you all of your top stories. And over the last hour, we have learned from President Trump that the person suspected of killing, assassinating Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist very well known, is now in custody. That's essentially what he said. With a, quote, high degree of certainty, they now have this suspect in custody. We're taking a look at the podium, essentially just waiting at this point for someone to walk up. We know that the FBI and other folks are going to be involved, including the Utah Department of Public Safety. And I'm looking through some of the mentions here. We do have FBI Director Kash Patel also confirming now officially that a suspect is in custody. Again, the news came just about an hour ago from President Donald Trump as he posted it on Truth Social and his other social media platforms. Want to pop this up on your screen? This is the announcement here as Fox News did post. Breaking. Trump
yeah, we just saw
Charlie
that.
Kirk suspect was turned in by, quote, somebody that was very close to him.
I'm so
There were some
happy to be
rumblings there
live
that it may have been
when this
a
happened.
pastor or someone associated with a church that maybe this person attended. But as of right now, President Trump says it was, quote, somebody that was very close to him, referring, of course, to the suspected killer. And we're looking through a lot of the other posts that are coming in from different officials here. We're going to keep an eye on this screen, but also want to make sure that we are showing you this live look right here. This is of the podium. I do want to keep it there on your screen as any moment now we are likely to get this update. All right, and this actually coming in from Bill Hemmer.
Oh my God, I want to see the
says,
pictures
President
and
Trump
everything.
says, quote, a minister turned him in with, quote, the help of a father. Again, that's, you know, what we were saying is that it appeared that it was someone
So a minister
with a church, and President
helped
Trump
this
now
person.
confirming that that is the case, and it was somebody,
crazy.
a minister possibly,
This story
turning
keeps
him
getting
in
wilder
with,
and
quote,
wilder.
the help of a father. That is according to Bill Helmer over at Fox News. As I mentioned, we're essentially looking through a lot of the different reaction that is coming in right now from our friends over at Fox News, as well as our different affiliates, as we continue to get more on this. Also, want to mention that Griff Jenkins at Fox is reporting that President Trump said also during his interview that the next city that he's going to deploy the National Guard to crack down on crime is Memphis. I wanted to make sure to mention that, as that was also breaking. Jackie Heinrich saying sources tell Fox the suspect was, quote, walked in near St. George,
Memphis.
Utah last night after 11 p.m. local time. I mentioned this a bit earlier, but Jackie Heinrich had said that her sources and folks there with Fox News had received information late yesterday, and they were working to confirm it that this suspect had been taken into custody, or the person of interest as they were being referred to. And it appears that this actually happened several hours before President Trump did his interview with Fox News and made that announcement first, saying, quote, I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. We're also likely to get reaction from different lawmakers here who will have a lot to say about this as they wake up this morning and learn the arrest has been made. A lot of lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have been very vocal about this since the get-go. Whether you're talking about Republicans or Democrats, they have all been vocal on social media and made their comments known. Looking right here, it does say from Jackie Heinrich, sources tell Fox the suspect was, quote, walked in near St. George, Utah last night after 11 p.m. One thing I'm doing is pulling up Google Maps, doing it kind of the old school way to see how far that is away from Orem right here. It looks like that is St. George. And if you're from that area, you may have the answer as well, but it looks like it's about 260, 270 miles away from Orem, where Utah Valley University is located. That's about a 3.5-hour drive. Again, Orem is where Utah Valley University is. That is where the assassination happened. And according to Jackie Heinrich, it appears that the suspect was taken into custody there in St. George, about 260, 270 miles away.
Wow, he drove a long way.
I'm not sure how they were able to get there. Again, a lot
They were
still
going to
unknown,
Vegas?
and it's likely that we will get at least some of those answers as we see folks step up to the podium. Senator Rick Scott of Florida writing, I'm still in shock and devastated that Charlie Kirk is no longer with us. I can't even imagine how his wife, kids, and family feel. Charlie was a man of faith, and he believed in the power of prayer. Today, I'm asking every American to pray for his family. Let us gather together in church and in our communities. Our nation needs God, and his family needs comfort only our Heavenly Father can give. This news conference was slated to start around 9 a.m. Eastern time. That is 7 o'clock local time right now, though. We are still waiting on that to begin. It is 11 o'clock, 9:11.
I don't know why
right
they
after
so
the
late.
hour here, as we do essentially just wait for the FBI or Utah Department of Public Safety to walk up to the podium here. Let's lift up the audio and listen in.
Test.
All right. The good news there is that the audio issue that we heard maybe 30 minutes ago has now been fixed. That is not going to be a problem. You'll be able to hear all of this in full as it does start here in a matter of moments. We have not been given any kind of updated time or anything of that nature. Sometimes they'll let us know if they're running a little bit late. But as of right now, still slated to have started at 9 a.m. Eastern time, 7 a.m. local time there in Orem, Utah.
I knew he went south, that piece of shit. I knew it. I kept feeling the energy he was going
and if you are
south.
just joining us here on Live Now from Fox, thank you so much for being with us here.
Rob, this is going to be a beautiful day if they
and I've been here for the past several
say
hours
they
as
arrested
we've,
the killer.
Taken a look at all of your top
You know,
stories.
this would be
breaking
a
news alerts,
more
and over
beautiful
the last
day.
hour, we have been with this information.
But good morning.
As we have learned from President Trump that a suspect has been taken into custody in connection with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which happened Wednesday as he was speaking to a very large
this
crowd
right here,
at a
it
university
broke
there,
news
Utah
while I was
Valley
watching
University.
here.
Matt Finn at Fox News posting sources tell Fox
I've been on for about
the Charlie
45
Kirk
minutes now.
assassin was taken into custody in southern Utah. They said that they are on the ground and they are on the way. I mentioned this, but it's about a 3.5-hour drive to get to that location where the arrest happened. It's likely we will get more information, and there could potentially be some photos of that arrest. We're not quite clear what we're going to get from investigators when they do walk up to the podium here.
I just don't like them being
just
late.
A matter of moments.
You know,
we also
it's
know
something
that we are awaiting funeral arrangements
that bugs
for Charlie
me.
Kirk. A lot of people have messaged us and asked when he will be laid to rest. And at this point, we do not have an answer other than that
At least he could
President Trump
be
says he expects that
laid to
it
rest
could
in
be
peace.
sometime next weekend. Again, nothing confirmed just yet. We will keep in touch with everyone involved, and we'll let you know as we do get any of those details coming in. It could be a few hours, it could be a few days before we get answers.
Wow.
All right, still awaiting this news conference to begin, 9:14 on the East Coast, 6:14 on the West Coast. We are not going to go to any commercial breaks. We are throwing those out because the second that we see folks start to walk up, we want to make sure that we bring that to you in full, commercial free, and that we have the entire thing here on Live Now as it does start.
Yeah, I hope they got the right one too, Rob, because
as I mentioned, I'm getting quiet at times because I'm taking a look at some of the posts coming in from different
Well, I'm going to put you quiet for now because you're just babbling there. Yeah, I woke up this morning. I had a feeling that they were going to get him, right? And it's like, then let me do a wake and bake, you know, because I've been doing wake and bake all this week. And I was like, let me go grab my coffee. Let me go ahead and do a show. I have a feeling something's going to come up, right? So I'm doing my show. And we're going through a couple of videos, and then I see like breaking news, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me go check this out. So I'm checking out Fox News, and Trump is there sitting on the couch. And I'm like, what is he doing there? And he's breaking news that they have a subject in custody. They have a person of interest in custody. And he seemed very confident that this was the person. And now I went over to Fox, and they started breaking news that they do have a suspect in custody, and that this person was found about 3 hours south of where the incident took place at St. George. If I'm not mistaken, that's St. George in South Utah. That's in the southwest Utah. That's on Highway 15 going towards Las Vegas. It's close to the border of Arizona, where this individual was apprehended. And there's confidence that this is the person that they were looking for, and from what I heard, this person got turned in by a minister, and I'm not sure if the father had gotten involved or some way, but I hope this is the one. I have a feeling it is the one, and I'm happy that this person was apprehended alive. That's been taken in alive instead of dead, and then we'll never get really good justice if, he's dead. But no, they got him alive, and now here comes, we're going to be wasting a lot of money on going to court, getting attorneys, getting all the evidence, getting all the police in, showing all the evidence. And, it's just a big fucking waste of money, right? If he's the one, he claims he's the one, and we got evidence to tie him as the one, well, guess what, buddy? Today is Friday. It's 9:18. Your ass will be killed in high noon today. Okay? There you go. That would be my justice. That would be the way I would solve all this craziness, and we won't have people committing crimes, and people would be scared shitless if I was president, because I'd be like, look, your trial started 18 minutes ago. You got caught. All evidence shows that you are guilty. You plead guilty. Yes, you plead guilty. Okay, well, your execution will be in 3 hours. We'll go ahead and have you order yourself something to eat, whatever you like to eat. It might be a piece of shit. We'll give you with a slice of bread, and we'll be killing you at 12 p.m. high noon, literally at noon, and your execution will be, our specialty. We're going to put you on the line, and we're going to shoot you to death. Yep. So I say an eye for an eye. You killed someone using a gun and shooting them in the neck. Well, guess what? We could get the same gun and shoot you in the neck and have you die in the firing squad. You piece of shit. And thank God Utah has the death penalty. They do have the death penalty. So this is just going to be a dog pony show. Waste of money. A lot of money. We're going to be wasted. But ultimately, this guy is going to be seeing the death penalty. So that is all waste of money, right? At least with me, it'll be cheaper. I could have him executed at 12 p.m. And right now he'll have only, 2 hours and 40 minutes to live. I saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars easily. hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, kill the son of a bitch. Hey, Charlie didn't have to wait to die. He got killed instantly. We could instantly kill this motherfucker too. And then we parade him to the country and like, this was what happens to you if you commit this type of crime. We're not gonna do this dog and pony show and go through trials and attorneys and evidence and blah 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 blah, wasting motherfucking time. Shoot the motherfucker. Shoot him, firing squad, end of story. We save our money, and that way the public will be scared as fuck to commit a crime because they know if they do something serious like that, they're going to end up the same way at a firing squad. Invoke fear into people, and fear will bring the good out. You know? It's like a lot of these people right now, they walk around like they're the tough guy. They're the big guys. They're the bullies, right? To me, you're nothing but a flea. And we're all fleas on this planet. And let me tell you something. You breathe the same air I breathe, and I guarantee you die the same way how I die. We all gonna end up dead one day. And a lot of these little gangbangers out there don't realize, but they're shortening their lifespan by like 30 years easily. But I'm happy to say that Trump says with high degree of certainty that suspect in Charlie Kirk's killing has been caught. And if Trump is saying this is without a doubt. If they got him, they got him. And this is a joy. This has been bothering me for the past few days. I broke this story 2 days, was it 3 days ago? 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago I broke this story after I was doing Wake and Bake and I was finishing my show, and I had to come back on and continue on with the show, and I kept saying he's dead. I said he's dead like over like 30, 40 times. I was like, he's dead. He's dead. Like the energy, I was feeling sick. I wasn't feeling good. My stomach was hurting. Like the way I felt, I haven't felt like that since 9/11, and yesterday was 9/11, and it was like, wow. It was so overwhelming. I went back and I watched, and I was like, I kept saying, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. The media kept saying, oh, he's in serious condition. Oh, he's in critical condition. Oh, now he's in fair condition. Oh, no, he died instantly. He died. They took him to the hospital. They were doing all this chest compressions, all this stuff, but his neck was blown out. So they put him in surgery to save his organs so they could donate them to those that are on the waiting list, you know? And that's why they say, oh, he's in surgery or he's in there and this and that. It's no, because they're taking out his organs and being donated to those who are in the waiting list for certain organs from a certain blood type. And yeah. But my disappointment is on the FBI. My disappointment is they had the evidence and they could have released it right away. They could have released it right away, and this person would have never made like a 3 hour drive to the southern part of Utah, St. George. That's wild. But the FBI, the way they said in the press conference, I even mentioned it because I was doing it live here and we were watching it. And last night with Tyson, I had Tyson De La Cruz here last night, and but the way the FBI was like, yeah, we have pictures and video, but we're not gonna release it yet to the media because we have to do some to analyze it and to run it through the system and whatever so forth. I thought that was stupid of them to even mention that. I was like, if you have the picture, if you have evidence that the public could help and trying to turn in and get this person, you release that right away. And the fact that FBI was holding back evidence draws red flags in the FBI. I don't trust the FBI. I don't trust none of them out in the field because I believe there's just way too many that are corrupt in the FBI. And I feel like they really need to purge the FBI and vet everyone in the FBI, because I feel like there's really bad people in that FBI. No, it's just something smells like shit is shit. Okay. But we're here waiting on. They were supposed to start this at 9 a.m. This was a 9 a.m. Guess it's a press conference. I believe the FBI and state and city officials. Kash Patel is there. Dan Bongino is there. They didn't speak yesterday. They were there, standing there like doofuses, but they just didn't say anything, which caught me like pretty weird. And let's see if Kash Patel is gonna step up and speak, or Dan Bongino or whoever within like the FBI. I'm like I said, I am disappointed with the FBI. I don't like how they do the public service as far as like having these press conferences and coming out with no evidence or no true talking points to pass along to the public. They keep everything secretive. Like, why is everything so secretive with the FBI? If you have information that can lead to an arrest, you just blur that shit out. You'd be like, listen, this is what he looks like. This is what he was wearing. This is like, they didn't even give like details of anything. They just like, yeah, they'll show you a video, and the video was like a little shadow from like far away. Like, you can't tell who the fuck that shadow is. That little like figment. Like, where's the other videos? We know you have them. I'm disappointed with the FBI, man. They're very slow, and they're not methodical. They're just very slow, and they always have excuses. Never any solution. Never have any answers. They're always like clueless. They're clueless. And you know, by now I would have expected Kash Patel to have cleaned out the FBI, but it seems like they're just keeping the shit there, and nothing is getting done, and these people are not being like removed or sent to another district, or even just fire the motherfuckers. But man, what they're waiting for 9:30. I mean, this was supposed to start at 9:00. So I mean, Trump must be pissed off too, because you know Trump he's very on he's on point with his timing and with time. You know, if he says he's gonna do a meeting at 9:00, he's doing a meeting at 9:00. You know, it's like, no, I set up a meeting for 9:00, but I'm just gonna take like 30 minutes, 40 minutes to come on and be on here late. Like, that's unacceptable. That's very unprofessional. Let's see. Hell no, me either, man. Even if it's not the right person, still release the photos and let us get back, to work finding them. Yeah, especially, you know, the internet is undefeated when it comes to investigating and getting names and information on certain people. not the right person. Release more photos of who you think it is. Exactly. The photos and the videos, you know? And the fact they had, you know what's funny, right? Like, they have clear photos of this person's face, right? But they only release the photos of the side of the face or the back of the head. They don't even show the front of the face. I'm like, wait a minute. You got this from a video and it plays through, so you get to see what the person looks like, and then you're only showing us a side view of the picture. You're only showing us the back of his head. I'm like, are you kidding me? Who the fuck is who's the idiot that is running the FBI there? Who's running the show there? Is you? Oh, guess what? Pack your shit, get the fuck out of here. That's what I would tell him. Get out. You're fired. How are you gonna put up pictures of not show the face? You're showing the back of his head. Oh, like we're supposed to like read what his face looks like by looking at the back of his head or the side of his face? You know, you got those still pictures from a video. Why not show the video of him walking up the stairs and going through the motion throughout the building? Like, FBI is such a joke to me right now. That organization, I mean, it's just been pure like bullshit with them. It just makes me mad, Rob. You know what I mean? It's just I have this little like flame that's burning, and it's getting like bigger and bigger because like the incompetence of the FBI is just drives me insane. Yes, exactly, Rob. Like the more people who see the photos, the faster they will be found. Yes, because I'll be like, oh shit, that's Bobby. Bobby, what the fuck you doing? Oh hell no! Let me call. That's how much? 150,000. Oh shit! Hell no! Hold on, Barbara. Let me call. Let me call. I gotta make this money. Hello, authorities. Yeah, I know this little bitch. I took care of this little bitch when he was little. I know who he is. Am I the first one to get the money? Oh, well, I'm going to let you know right now. That little bitch, he's a punk bitch. You know? So I'd be on that phone. I'd be like, hold on, that's $150,000. Yo. Like, man. Abuse of excuses. Right? The FBOE. FBOE. Yeah, I say, listen, man, full of excuses. I would say more like they procrastinate a lot. Procrastinate. Look how long they're taking to do this press conference. This press conference this is the second time that they're actually, I think this is the third time that they've done a press conference and they're late. Because I have it recorded. It's on my show. So, late as can be. And why are they late? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? I'm a person, like, time is money and time is valuable. And all this FBI is doing is wasting time. When they said they were going to have a fucking press conference at 9 a.m., I expect a press conference at 9 a.m. I got other shit I want to do. Like, these people are very, like, they're not considerate. You know, they don't care with people's time. You know, time is very valuable because we're wasting it. And we want to get the information and we want to get this person, you know, I want to hear them saying, yes, this is the person that assassinated Charlie Kirk and all this, you know, get to the points. All right, let's go ahead and listen into what they're saying here. Let's give it a second here.
And the shooter, he goes down the stairs. I'm rewinding him. I'm pushing him back in time. And as I press play,
Federal Bureau of
the shooter goes up
Procrastination.
halfway, stops on the landing and turns around.
It sounds
He
good.
doesn't go through with
They
it. He goes back
procrastinate
to his
so
car
much.
and ends his own life. And a few people mourn. The shooter, his parents, his sister, a few close friends. But nobody really cares and nobody understands. And the event goes on like normal. And for me, I think that was the message that God wanted me to hear and to feel, is that there's a lot of people that are hurting, a lot of people that don't feel seen, a lot of people that don't feel heard. And the only thing they have is their ideology or their identity.
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't figured out yet.
When that's
you
attacked,
never know how much time you have left on
they
Earth.
feel like
Yeah. We're
it's
on
an
a
attack on
countdown.
them. And what we need to do is to assist those individuals in knowing that love is real, that God is real, and that they can feel love again.
Skylar, at this point, you mentioned that you've had therapy, you've had a little time to process this. What message do you hope that people watching this and hearing your story, a very emotional one there, are going to take away?
The only thing that is important at this moment is if you feel hatred in your heart, if this moment made you happy in any way,
get help.
Then there's a cancer in your soul.
Yeah.
You have succumbed to a great evil. If celebrating the loss of a husband and father of 2 little children has made you happy,
You're
then
sick.
you need to see help.
Yeah.
You are broken.
Yep.
You need to find God and you need to find love in your heart again, because the only way that any of this stops is to find love and to love others around you. And it doesn't mean validating everything that's going on in their mind. That's not what love is. Love is getting help. Love is getting true help that can solve your deep-rooted issues that would cause you to find joy in the death of another.
Yep.
Skylar, we definitely appreciate you joining us and sharing your story here and your experience. My last question for you here, how do you want to make sure that Charlie Kirk is remembered? I know you were talking about the excitement there and focusing on the positive. So how do you want to make sure that he's remembered?
The thing about evil is it doesn't understand the human heart. Evil thinks that killing Charlie silenced him. But
it's crazy.
The thing about the human heart is, in trying to silence Charlie, you just created a million more. A million more people are going to rise up and share the same message of hope and divinity and of God. And they're going to stand up. They're going to stand up in the face of evil. People have been quiet for too long. People allowed, they allowed the cancellations. They allowed the pushback. They allowed people, to be fired because you have conservative ideals. And it's not going to happen anymore. Conservatives are going to stand up in a righteous way and continue to be loud and be vocal and to change the world for a better place.
Skylar, thank you so much for joining us here and sharing your story. We definitely appreciate it. I can tell, of course, it is emotional for you. Is there anything else that you want to make sure to add here before I let you go?
Yeah, the last thing that comes to my mind is the thousands of people that were in attendance, the millions of people that saw the direct footage around the world, around the globe. And again, those images don't go away. And so don't allow them to stay with you. Don't allow them to infiltrate your mind and to be heavy on you. Go see help, talk to people. They're not going to go away by yourself. You need to go to therapy. You need to go be with your loved ones, because nothing's helped me more than receiving hugs from strangers, receiving messages from strangers, receiving, people coming to my door and offering me a priesthood blessing, and knowing that there's so many people around me has helped tremendously. And there's people right now that are alone, that are struggling with those thoughts and those images, and you need to reach out and find those people around you too.
We need to reopen the mental institutions.
I know, obviously, I can't even begin to imagine what you've been through. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your perspective here and share your story with so many people and talking about Charlie Kirk. We appreciate it.
He was a witness.
And I do want to take.
So I say this, listen, that's traumatizing. And I definitely think, you definitely would need counseling if you witnessed it there in person. And if you go through something traumatic like that, and PTSD is real, definitely seek help. It's just really disturbing. All this is disturbing. I say this. Please, President Trump, reopen the mental institutions. We have a pandemic going on, and it's with our brains, and it's a mental health disorder. And there's a thing that's called DTS, it's like the Donald Trump syndrome. And I feel like a lot of people have this disease. They have this DTS. And I think they should be admitted into mental institutions. And hopefully that can help them and redo their mind and helping themselves become better people. I mean, I haven't seen a Democrat happy. They're really never happy. Like, they're always angry and always feisty and always want to challenge you. Like, the Democrats are they have a lot of negative energy. And they always want to confront you, like a Karen, like a crazy Karen. It's just, how did this energy get this strong so fast? I know. Having an incompetent president in Joe Biden for 4 years, with his cackling vice president Kamala Harris, that was just puppets, and they let this country, like, it was like the Wild Wild West. Do whatever the fuck you want. We're not gonna have any accountability here. You know what I mean? That's why I had Tyson make out a shirt for "Make Accountability Great Again," because we need to bring back accountability. But this plague with the Democrats, what they try to do is take a control over the big cities. And in their minds, they're like, if we could take over all the big cities, we could continue running this country the way we see fit. And that's why you see all these big cities like New York City, Boston, LA, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami, like very strong Democratic hold cities. Thank goodness and thank God that Miami-Dade County flipped and turned more Republican, and that's very helpful. But a lot of cities across our country, our major cities, are Democrat run, and they're not really the safest cities to be at. Shit, come here to the capital, Hartford, Connecticut, and you'll be like, hell, fuck no. I rather listen. You got to choose wisely. What would you rather? I'm gonna have to play this game. What would you rather? Walk at night in Hartford with with no security, no nothing. You're just walking around in Hartford for one night, or be eaten by zombies. Yo, I'm gonna taste good for zombies, because I'd rather be eaten by zombies than being killed by these lunatics that are in Hartford. Hartford, Connecticut is really is too many illegal immigrants. They're in the streets walking around. A lot of them are drugged up, and they're like bent over. Like, I call them the bent over people. That's what they are, the bent over people. And in Spanish, I call them los doblados. They're bent over, and it's like you think you're in a thriller movie, but this movie is around the whole city, and it's very creepy. It's creepy, man. I would let a fucking zombie eat me. I'm like, do I taste good? Okay, keep eating. Like, I'd rather have that slow death of them eating me than having a fast death with these individuals in Hartford that will shoot you. They shoot like anybody and everybody. It's crazy. It's just really wild. Our biggest problem is all the people telling mental people it's okay to be whoever or whatever you want to be. Yes, we need to make truth great again. Yes, we do. And the figment of the imagination. Oh, let's listen to Trump. Choose your gender. You can choose your gender. You don't need you can do whatever you want. If you want to be a pony, you could be a pony. Like, what the fuck?
Somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, it's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But yeah, I think we're in great shape.
Mr. President.
And he's in custody.
All right, again, making that announcement there on Fox News just about, I would say, less than 2 hours ago, saying that he was alerted about 5 minutes before he walked in to do that interview that the arrest had been made. We're also learning more about the suspect himself via the Associated Press and Reuters, saying that he is 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. No other information has been released about the person, but that does match up with what we were told by
Tyler
investigators
Robinson.
there, that it appeared that the suspect was, quote, college-aged, and now we know 22 years old, according to
22 years
Fox News,
old.
the Associated Press, and Reuters. But we will get all of those details very likely from investigators as they speak.
I don't blame you,
this
Rob.
news conference. Again, we are popping this up on your screen to give you a look at all of this. We have not received an update on the timing. Once again, we are told that this should be happening soon, because it was slated to start at about 9 a.m. Eastern time. However,
Yeah, I agree, Rob. I don't know why they let them teach the kids.
9:49 on the East Coast.
It all started with that.
On the West Coast.
Give me a second.
We know that all the reporters are inside. They have their notes.
Let me go ahead and shut them down for a little bit. But it all started with that drag queen hour, that story time hour, whatever they were doing, that drag hour. They kind of like infiltrated little by little into the school system. And you know how the school system, they're very democratically run. Let's just say that. And a lot of these LGBTQ, LMLPQIXYZ to the 10,000 power infinity times 2. I don't know where they're at with their letters, okay? So I'm just giving them, like, I'm adding numbers and colors to what's like that group is. they should not have never been in our school system. They should not have never been around younglings, age 5, 6, 7 years old, and you have a drag queen that's half nude reading a book that's painted worse than a clown's face, reading to your children. Like, and then the parents allow this. Like, that's even what's more concerning. The parents allowed these clowns to come in, and it's a bad name for clowns. I'm sorry, clowns, but it's ridiculous. They shouldn't. They first of all, and then there's like a lot of pedophile, like these drags. You can't trust them. They're not. They if they don't even know who they are, how are they gonna like try to teach your kids to be something if they don't even know who the fuck they are? Like, they paint themselves to be a character to I don't know, like their brains. Like, we need to study a drag queen's brain to figure out what the fuck is going on, to make what made them so imbalanced to want to do stuff like that and pursue that lifestyle. You know, it's crazy. See here. I have 3 minutes. Can you please give me a quick update on who they caught? Oh, they caught this kid, Tyler something, or Roberts or something. He's 22 years old. He was turned in to the police by the church, I believe. Some minister turned him in. Like, here's the information on the screen right now. A minister turned him in. The help of the father, I guess. He was found 3 hours away from the scene of the crime, 3 hours south of this location, over in St. George, Utah, which is on Interstate 15. And that same road, that same highway, actually takes you to, if I'm not mistaken, it takes you to Las Vegas. So, but he was caught in Utah, and let's go ahead and listen in here. Give me a second. I guess they're giving like the 2-minute warning that they're going to be coming out. I guess we've been waiting since 9 o'clock. This is a whole hour that they're late. I have to run back. And who did they catch? They caught someone, but they're getting all the information now. So the press conference is going to be happening with all the whatever they're going to say is going to say confirmation on what's been going throughout the news. But they are claiming they got this 22-year-old. It's was it Tyler? Was it Tyler Robinson? I can't remember what they said at first. Yeah, I think it was Tyler Robinson. But let me go ahead and put up the volume so we'll listen in here.
Again, this is the limited information that we have from law enforcement sources, and it's all the information that we expect we could get today, along with maybe how they were able to track him down, though it does appear that a minister was involved. That is according to President Trump. He said, quote, someone very close to that suspect helped nab him, essentially. We also don't know where this suspect is right now. We may get an update on that, their location, where they're going to be held, the charges they face, all of that. But these are all questions that we've had now for quite a while. I would say less than 48 hours ago, this all played out. There were 2 detainments that were made the day of the attack. But after some questioning, investigators determined that those were not the shooters. They were not involved in the shooting. There was also an arrest that took place at the crime scene just yesterday, but that was not technically related. It was essentially a person who crossed the crime scene tape when they knew they were not supposed to. As you can see, the camera is kind of wobbling around. This is likely to get underway shortly because we were told 4 minutes, and that was maybe just about 2 minutes ago. I believe that person is a spokesperson for one of the agencies involved who gave us.
We've been waiting a whole fucking hour.
That this would begin
fucking
here shortly
FBI.
in about 4 minutes, and right now we're about 2, maybe 3 minutes into that.
Dude, I've been here waiting an hour. It's crazy. Media, like, it is what it is.
If you are just joining us here on Live Now from Fox, the time is 9:55 on the East Coast and 6:55 on the West Coast.
9:56.
My name is Josh Breslow, and I've been here for the past several hours to bring you all of your top stories, live events, and breaking news. And there has been a lot of it over the last couple hours here as we learn from President Trump that an arrest has been made, a suspect taken into custody in connection with the assassination of conservative activist there, Charlie Kirk, very well known as he was speaking at an event with about 3,000 people in attendance. Right now, we are keeping an eye on the podium as we have been. We're told this should begin momentarily.
They're going to announce that they got him.
All of the agencies
they got
involved.
the killer.
Again, it's not clear if
they
they
got
are
the
going to take
assassin.
questions from media members or if, like last night, they just are going to make a couple statements and then leave. Many of these news conferences have only been about 10 minutes in length, but this one, now that an arrest has been made, there are a lot of questions, and they may be able to answer more of those. We also have this post coming in right here from David Spunt over at Fox News. It's also from Jackie
and it's
another
Tyler
reporter there, who says that David Spunt confirmed the suspect name is Tyler Robinson, 22 years old and from Utah, according to the Associated Press and Reuters.
We were right.
At this point, nothing else really known about this suspect just yet.
Rob, we were right.
Information we have. The Associated Press once again saying the suspect in custody in connection with the Charlie Kirk shooting is a 22-year-old from Utah. Likely, we're going to get all of these details here in just a matter of moments. So we're keeping an eye on the podium. And the second we see somebody walk up, we will take that and bring it to you in full. If you've been watching over the last hour or so, you know that we have tossed out all of our commercial breaks. We are not going to interrupt this at all. We're going to stick with it all throughout the press conference, whether it's 5 minutes or 55 minutes. We're going to be with it the entire time. You won't miss any of it here. We also have several different feeds. As you know, sometimes the feeds can go out. There can be audio issues, but don't worry because we have so many different angles and so many different feeds. So if one does happen to go out, we have several others that we can bring you as well. We are now at 9:58 on the East Coast, and that is about the 4-minute mark of when this news conference should start. Looks like maybe they're waiting till about 10 o'clock, but
yeah,
if
they're
you're
late.
Just joining us here, I do want to make sure you have the latest. As President Trump says, an arrest has been made in connection
Trump must be
with
pissed.
the murder,
He's
the
like, these
assassination
motherfuckers
of
are
his
so
friend,
fucking slow.
conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who died
He's like,
Wednesday there as he was
fucking
speaking
Bureau
at an event at
of
Utah
Investigation.
Valley University. Fox News
like-
posting Charlie Kirk assassination suspect named as Tyler Robinson. David Spunt over at Fox News speaking with a lot of the folks there to help break all of that down and learn a little bit more information. Looks like the cameras that we have, several of them are actually zooming out. So what I'm going to do is maybe lift up the audio here as we expect this to get underway. And as I mentioned, I don't want you to miss any of it as we hear from the FBI, the Utah Department of Public Safety, possibly Governor Cox, as we have over the past several days.
Rob.
This is running about an hour late, but it looks like they might just be waiting until the top of the hour, which would be 10
got some
a.m.
fire
on the East Coast, but it would be 8 o'clock a.m.
Yo,
over
that
there
podium
locally
has
in
more
Utah.
camera time than the fucking investigation or like the fucking people. Like, I wonder if Cash
And it
Patel's
also
going to
looks
speak.
like the White House is putting out some information here as well. They did put out a quote from President Trump, as he mentioned earlier. Quote, "We lost an unbelievable warrior." That is what he had to say about Charlie Kirk. He has also announced that he is going to posthumously award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That will be awarded to him in the future.
Yo,
we do not
you're
have
funny,
any
Rob.
information just yet on whether or not that could be a full
Maybe if
ceremony.
they share a photo
It could be.
of
We
the
could
podium,
see his family
the
arrive
public can
there,
help
all of
them
that, and
find
speak
it.
and honor his memory. If that is the case, you'll be sure to watch it here on Live Now from Fox as we bring it to you full and commercial free.
No, Rob just ranked on them. Rob, we've been here for like an hour. They said 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. I've been here since, like, come on. Like, I broke the whole thing and I'm here waiting and we're like fiddle dicking back there. Like, okay, you're going to say this and then I'm going to say this and then you're going to say that and then that is going to turn into this and then this is going to be like that. We got it? No? Oh my God, let's do it again. Okay, this is this, that's that.
And keep an eye on the podium there over in Utah, as this news conference should be starting shortly, 10 a.m. on the East Coast and 7 a.m. on the West Coast.
FBI, man.
That they were waiting until the top of the hour.
I'm so
for
disappointed in them.
out. At this point, that has not happened just yet, but we are moments away, we're told. There was a spokesperson who walked up maybe 6-8 minutes ago and said that we were 4 minutes away from this getting underway, and we do have this.
You like that one, the procrastination?
Right here on your
I
screen.
love that word. Because they procrastinate so much,
out,
man.
But, not
they
quite
don't
sure
give
if
you
it's on the same
the truth. They
or if
procrastinate.
maybe one of them's on a delay. However, we're going to take this image right here because it is closer to the podium and you can see a little bit more. As we saw one of the cameras pan over to the left, we can see some of the folks that are with law enforcement. They are standing in there
so people know.
and essentially just waiting to walk up. That is the spokesperson there who we heard from earlier who just walked by on the screen.
There you
walking
go.
over to the right and sitting down to indicate there that this is likely to begin here shortly. There she is.
They're late.
Back over to the left.
It is 10 o'clock. It's 10:02. They're still late. Trump is going to be like, what is the fuck is wrong with
And I am
them?
repeating myself quite a bit here as we wait for this news conference to get underway. I just want to make sure if you're just turning this on, because we can see our viewer count there on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. And as the number goes up, we know that people are tuning in. We want to make sure they know that President Trump and now the FBI Director, Kash Patel, have announced that an arrest has been made in connection with the assassination, the murder there of Charlie Kirk, a very well-known conservative activist.
Oh my God!
Just
they are so.
Hours ago.
What are they doing back there?
12 o'clock-ish local time. Over on Wednesday at Utah Valley University, as we know that Charlie Kirk was speaking to that crowd.
I don't get it. What's going on here?
3,000 people. As of right now, the Associated
If they got
Press,
the person,
Reuters,
why not just
Fox
come
News
out
are
already
all
and just
reporting via
talk?
sources that the suspect has been identified as 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. No other details released, and that's likely one of the pieces of information we're going to get here from authorities as they take the podium. Again, the Utah Department of Public Safety, the FBI, Kash Patel could be there like he was last night. We could get comments from him. We already heard from President Trump a bit earlier as he was speaking to Fox News. We played that for you here as he did make the announcement.
They're probably back in the back and they're like, yo, stand over here. I'm going to stand right here.
Oh, no, but I want to pre-planned interview. We had heard about that
just
for a
stand
while.
here.
Here we go. Let's
Here we go.
lift up the audio.
Finally, what the fuck you guys were playing? Patty cake in the back?
At today's press conference, we will hear from Governor Cox, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Sheriff Mike Smith. We also have with us Utah DPS Commissioner Bo Mason.
Can't hear.
Lieutenant Governor, Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles, and local and federal law enforcement partners. Following the remarks today, Governor Cox, Director Patel, and Commissioner Mason will take questions. Thank you.
Here comes everybody finally in. Like, all right.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in that conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there's been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who has worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and our federal partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We're grateful for everyone who worked together in such a short amount of time to find this person and to bring justice. I want to thank the public who has been so engaged, reviewing videos, helping us with sending in tips, and helping us get to this point. I want to thank the family members of Tyler Robinson who did the right thing in this case and were able to bring him into to law enforcement as well. I especially want to thank the family of Charlie Kirk, Erica, Charlie's parents, his children. I want us to be thinking of them as
law
we bring
enforcement was
justice
like
in this
sitting on their
case,
hands.
they will be involved in that justice. We will be working very closely with them as we move through this process as well. This is a very sad day for our country, a terrible day for the state of Utah, but I'm grateful that at this moment we have an opportunity to bring closure to this very dark chapter in our nation's history. With that, I will now turn the microphone over to the Director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Thank you, Governor. This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk and honor his memory. I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the Vice President, and the entire White House who have been so incredibly supportive with both resources and just personally to the FBI as a team. They had our backs the entire way, and I just want to express my gratitude for giving us the resources we need to operate in this space to bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie. Governor Cox, our partnership has been absolutely incredible these last few days. Our partnership will endure. Your state and local partners, your sheriffs, your DPS community has been unbelievably impressive in the hardest of times. And a case like this cannot be solved, cannot be brought without partnering with your state and local authorities. The FBI has a certain role to play, and we will play that role, and we will lead out for the federal government. But Governor Cox, we are so grateful for your state partnership that led out on this investigation. A little bit of the timeline. Charlie was shot at 12:23 p.m. on Wednesday. The first FBI agents arrived on scene in 16 minutes with chiefs of police at 12:39 and secured the scene. The FBI immediately launched fixed-wing assets. We utilized these assets to transport personnel, specialty technicians, hostage rescue teams. We also utilized these assets to go back and forth from the East Coast and here in Utah to transport forensic evidence and other evidence that will be analyzed and is being analyzed at our FBI laboratories in Quantico and other laboratories, including the ATF. At my direction, the FBI released the first set of FBI photos of the suspect at 10 a.m. local time on 9/11. Then, shortly thereafter, the FBI reward of $100,000 was released at 10:45 a.m. local. Myself and Deputy Director Bongino arrived on the scene at approximately 5:30 p.m. on 9/11. The governor led a press conference last night at approximately 8 p.m., where at my direction, the FBI released a never-before-seen video of the suspect. We also released new images to the public of the suspect. And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise, thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period. And I want to highlight what Governor Cox said. This would not have been possible without you, the media, and you, the public. That's why we went so public, so fast, and we're so transparent.
No, you
We're committed
didn't.
to that transparency.
Wait a minute. No, you didn't.
Just a little bit there. It is a
That's not
large
true.
crime scene. State and local authorities, along with federal authorities, processed that crime scene quickly. And I even had the ability to walk through that crime scene and walk through the steps the suspect took to learn more about what was needed and what resources we needed to bear to create a full picture for the FBI and leadership back in Washington. Furthermore, thankfully to state and local partners, forensic evidence has been seized and continues to be garnered. Forensic evidence has already been evaluated at FBI laboratories in Quantico and state and local authorities here. We will continue to process evidence as we see it, as we collect it, and we will continue to deliver to Governor Cox and his team. Last night, we had a total of approximately 7,000 leads. As of this morning, thanks to your great work, we have over 11,000 leads that were called in to the FBI. And we are running out every single lead that we can. Every one of those leads will be run out. The arrest is a testament to dedication of good law enforcement being great and partnerships in law enforcement, which I've tried to highlight as my tenure as the director of the FBI. There is no better relationship for law enforcement than the FBI to partner with state and local authorities, and you've seen it here in these last few days. The FBI Salt Lake field office, along with our offices in LA, Phoenix, Denver, San Antonio, Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, our headquarters component in Quantico, all participate in the FBI. I want to express my deep gratitude to the employees of the FBI, the men and women, the evidence response team tacticians, the special operators, the agents, the support staff. You have done monumental work in historic time when the public, who had a right to demand such an expeditious solving of an investigation, the FBI answered that call diligently, critically important to our nation, and we delivered. And I'm proud to be their leader, and I'm proud to be the director of the FBI. This is a very much an ongoing investigation, as the governor said, and we will continue to work with state and local authorities to develop the investigation, to provide them the evidence they need for their ongoing prosecutions.
I agree, Rob.
And we will be here to answer
The family
every call
did the right
they
thing.
absolutely have, as long as it takes, for as long as we need to find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Poor Charlie.
Thank you, and good morning. I would just like to take a few minutes as the sheriff to express my gratitude for everybody who has played a part in this investigation. As you know, it's been a vast, a complicated, and a very, very fast-paced investigation. You're looking at people standing up here who are running on, if they got an hour's sleep in the last couple of days, they're probably lucky. It has been very taxing. It has been so impressive, speaking on behalf of the local law enforcement, to see the cooperation that we've seen in this type of case. Across the state, sheriffs, chiefs, our state partners have stepped up and have come to the call on anything that we needed. Our county chiefs have been phenomenal. Our Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, who's standing up here with us, has been phenomenal in leading us through this investigation. I would like to thank the federal government for their resources, their assets. Our local team here, our FBI team, has been extraordinary in helping us work through this and bring this person to justice. Most of all, I would like to thank the public, and specifically, I would like to thank the public who turned to prayers and who turned to positiveness for us. I would like to thank them on behalf of the law enforcement community, because we needed those prayers. That's what we needed to get through this. We needed your support, and you gave it to us. We needed your patience, and you gave it to us. And I would like to thank you for the Kirk family, because that's what they need, is your support and your prayers, and that will get us through all of this. So thank you, everybody, for everybody that have stepped up. We've had such a phenomenal response to this. Thank you.
Uh-oh. He's back.
I also want to give a special thanks to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice. Their unwavering support and their commitment to justice is shown true here. And without AG Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and the resources they brought to bear, we would not have been able to complete our mission. And I just want to say special
forgot
thanks.
to mention
It's an honor
that.
to be a part of the Department of Justice.
He forgot to mention that, so I had to go back and say that.
Thank you again to our incredible law enforcement team who has worked so hard. Sheriff, I got a solid 90 minutes last night, so I'm probably the most well-rested person up here. Ladies and gentlemen, I get the microphone, so I hope you'll permit me a moment just to share a few more thoughts about where we are and how we got here, and maybe a little bit of where we go from here. I don't want to get too preachy, but I think it's important that we, with eyes wide open, understand what's happening in our country today. I've heard people say, well, why are we so invested in this? There's violence happening all across our country, and violence is tragic everywhere. and every life taken is a child of God who deserves our love and respect and dignity. This is certainly about the tragic death, political assassination of Charlie Kirk. But it is also much bigger than an attack on an individual. It is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals. This cuts to the very foundation of who we are, of who we have been, and who we could be in better times. Political violence is different than any other type of violence for lots of different reasons. One, because in the very act that Charlie championed of expression, that freedom of expression that is enshrined in our founding documents, in having his life taken in that very act, makes it more difficult for people to feel like they can share their ideas, that they can speak freely. We will never be able to solve all the other problems, including the violence problems that people are worried about, if we can't have a clash of ideas safely and securely. Even, especially those ideas with which you disagree. That's why this matters so much. Over the last 48 hours, I have been as angry as I have ever been, as sad as I have ever been. And it was, as anger pushed me to the brink, it was actually Charlie's words that pulled me back. I'd like to share some of those. And specifically right now, if I could, I need to talk to the young people in our state, in my state, and all across the country. As President Trump reminded me, he said, you know who really loved Charlie? The youths. And he's right. Young people loved Charlie, and young people hated Charlie. And Charlie went into those places anyway. And these are the words that have helped me. Charlie said, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. He said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The only way out of the labyrinth of suffering is to forgive. Welcome without judgment, love without condition, forgive without limit. He said, always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. A few months ago, I referenced this last night, Charlie posted to social media, when things are moving very fast and people are losing their minds, it's important to stay grounded. Turn off your phone, read scripture, spend time with friends, and remember, internet fury is not real life. It's going to be okay. He again said, when you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to commit violence. He said, what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have a reasonable agreement, where violence is not an option. Now, again, to my young friends out there, you are inheriting a country where politics feels like rage. It feels like rage is the only option. But through those words, we have a reminder that we can choose a different path. Your generation has an opportunity to build a culture that is very different than what we are suffering through right now. Not by pretending differences don't matter, but by embracing our differences and having those hard conversations. I think we need more moral clarity right now. I hear all the time that words are violence. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. And there is one person responsible for what happened here. And that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable. And yet all of us have an opportunity right now to do something different. I want to thank my fellow Utahns. You know, this bad stuff happens. For 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us, that somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I had hoped for, just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here. And it was one of us. But I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last 2 nights. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There were no cars set on fire. There was no violence. There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes, because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse. But see, these are choices that we can make. History will dictate if this is a turning point for our country. But every single one of us gets to choose right now if this is a turning point for us. We get to make decisions. We have our agency. And I desperately call on every American, Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative, MAGA, all of us to please, please, please follow what Charlie taught me. I'll just conclude with words I share often from a friend and author, Yuval Levin, who was asked if he was optimistic about our country. And he said, I'm not optimistic. He said, I hate optimism. Like, that sounds bad. But he said, optimism is a vice. It's this idea that good things are just going to happen. And he said, in the history of the world, good things have never just happened. He says, I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful. And hope is the virtue that sits between the vices of optimism and pessimism. Hope is the idea that good things are going to happen because we can make them so. I still believe in our country. And I know Charlie Kirk believed in our country. I still believe that there is more good among us than evil. And I still believe that we can change the course of history. I'm hopeful because Americans can make it so. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Governor, can you speak to whether the suspect is speaking with authorities and his demeanor, Tyler Robinson, when he turned himself in?
I cannot speak to that right now.
Governor, how do you interpret the inquiries on casing?
Well, I will leave that up to you to interpret what those engravings mean. I think the clearest one that says "catch fascist," there's not. And by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. That's I think that speaks for itself.
Governor, you indicated that he had been communicating.
Please.
This level of hatred that this person expressed. Beyond that, is there anything in your view that you discovered that may have radicalized or changed him or prompted him to commit such a horrific?
There's nothing more that we can share at this time.
Governor,
you
indicated that he had been communicating with a friend on Discord about the gun. Do you anticipate any more arrests?
We do not at this time have any information that would lead to any additional arrests.
Do you believe he acted alone?
Yes, but the investigation is ongoing.
Do you care at all came into custody of police and where he is right now?
Yes. So right now, Mr. Robinson has been booked into the Utah County Jail. You heard the president this morning report that that he was taken into custody. That his family and a friend helped to deliver him into custody of law enforcement in Washington County. For those of you that don't know where Washington County is, it is the southwesternmost part of the state of Utah. It's about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive from here, where we are right now, and that's where he lived and where they turned him in. Please, I'll go here. I can't share any more than what I've already shared. Yeah. So how we obtained the gun? The gun was found here. So I don't have much more details on that. We do know that he drove. We had his car here on campus, and then we had his car going south back to the St. George. It's actually the city of Washington in Washington County. I'm sorry. We don't have any information that would lead us to believe that. Yes, in fact, it was just released. Yes. I can't answer that right now. Yeah, thank you. Over here. I absolutely believe that this is a watershed in American history. Yes. The question is, what kind of watershed? And that chapter remains to be written. Is this the end of a dark chapter in our history, or the beginning of a darker chapter in our history? Look, I mean, if you look at true political assassinations in this country of someone of this stature, this feels a lot like the late 60s, and having one so gruesomely displayed on camera in all of our hands and in all of our pockets. We are not wired as human beings biologically, historically. We have not evolved in a way that we are capable of processing those types of violent imagery. And by the way, we've seen another one with a gruesome stabbing very recently that went viral. This is not good for us. It is not good to consume. Social media is a cancer on our society right now. And I would encourage people to log off, turn off, touch grass, hug a family member, go out and do good in your community. That is happening, and it's happening organically right now. I had a friend in a small city in Utah who said, we're getting together. The Republicans and Democrats in my little town are getting together to have a discussion last night, just to find a way to find their better angels. So yes, this could be, I mean, again, you have to go back to JFK to have seen a video live of something like this happening. I wasn't born until 1975, but I know that things were really dark in the late 60s. Sorry to some of you. I know some of you were there, but this is our moment. Do we escalate, or do we find an off-ramp? And again, it's a choice. It's a choice, and every one of us gets to make that choice. Two more questions right here.
Could we clarify that the release of those enhanced images at 8 p.m. in timeline that Director Patel gave us led to the arrest at 10 p.m.? Is there a direct connection between those two events?
I cannot comment if there is a direct connection or not, but all I can say is that through some process, the family came to know that this had happened. Correct. Yes. So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UVU. Last question here. Yes. Yeah. So I don't have any information on the mental illness part. He was not a student here at UVU. He was living and had lived for a long time with his family in Washington County, in the southernmost part of our state. Thank you, everyone, for your great work in getting this information out. I just say, process-wise, this may be important. I know many of you aren't familiar with the process in Utah. I think it's important that you understand that basically we have 3 days for charging documents to be filed. A CI will be filed. We'll have more information then, more detailed information as those charging documents are filed in preparation for a preliminary hearing. So 3 days. So we would anticipate then that early next week those charging documents will be filed. We will obviously be working. The county attorney will be working very closely with Mr. Kirk's family as those documents and decisions are prepared and made. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
So you just heard here on Live Now from Fox as officials detail the arrest and the Charlie Kirk assassination. Leading up to this point, very thorough and detailed coverage from my colleague Josh Breslow, leading up to the anticipation that we were all wanting to know who is the person that was taken into custody. As we discuss the very latest, I do want to transition your screen. Take a good look. This is the latest information we have from our content partners as we are learning the suspect in custody on this Friday in connection with the assassination of Charlie Kirk is a 22-year-old from Utah. Law enforcement officials confirming that to the Associated Press. Authorities identifying the suspect as Tyler Robinson. Now, a lot to discuss, and as we continue this thorough and detailed coverage, I want to transition and bring into the conversation none other than Tim Rebellet. He previously worked for the Secret Service for 22 years on the Presidential Protective Detail. Tim, a pleasure having you join us here on Live Now from Fox. Hello to you.
Hello to you. Thanks for having me.
So a lot to discuss. Tim, let's first go through the latest from that press conference. Viewers, some just might be tuning in. What do we know? We heard from FBI Director Kash Patel saying that it took the community. It was a group effort. If you see something, say something. 33 hours it took to get to this press conference.
Yeah, listening to the press conference and, following along from the time this incident happened, it was, like Kash Patel said, it was great police work. And you can't do this without the community. And you're so right. The see something, say something, it works every time. So it sounds like a great investigation from all partners, state, local, and federal.
We heard from Utah's Governor Spencer Cox in that press conference saying that a suspect's family member actually turned him in. We're also hearing that he was joined alongside a family friend. Let's discuss that, because as the images were circulating, we had images from TMZ, we had images from the campus. We saw the suspected shooter climbing the side of the roof to get up there. There were so many people who were speculating who this person could be, many people not knowing that it would be a family member who would come out to turn this person in.
Yeah, so, a lot of these cases, just mass shooters in general, school shooters, or in this instance, most of these individuals, they have the term, we hear it all the time, but it's leakage. I don't know, but I'd be safe to say, and they mentioned it briefly in the news conference, where there may have been some leakage in him talking about it and showing this hatred towards Mr. Kirk prior to actually committing the incident. And I'm glad that the family members helped turn him in after the fact, but I wish they were a little bit more proactive, and maybe this never would have happened.
As you say that you wish it never would have happened, some somber words from Utah's governor towards the end, and I want to quote him. For many people, it stuck out. He says, "Is this the end of a dark chapter or the beginning of a darker chapter in history? With your Secret Service expertise, unfortunately, this isn't the first type of tragedy you have covered, but so many viewers on the edge of their seats wondering, is this the end or the beginning of a darker chapter?" as Utah's governor so eloquently put it.
Yes, he brought up a couple good points, talking about the 60s, which were a little bit before my time as well, but, one of the most violent times as far as assassinations go. And with my experience, we've seen a lot of violent events, towards this country. But like you said, most importantly, we have a choice. We individually have a choice whether or not how we write this next chapter. And hopefully people take to heart exactly what he said and make that choice to turn to talking about
Rob.
differences and choosing towards, nonviolence.
Tim, this morning, a lot of eyes are on the weapon, even the bullet. We are learning from authorities in that press conference that a bullet had the words "Hey Fascist" written on it. For many people, they are looking back to that tragedy that unfolded at Annunciation, a Catholic school and church, where we were learning that some of the magazines from that suspected gunman had words written on it, some of them political, some full of hatred. Paint the picture for us, please. Set the tone of what's going on in America today.
Yeah, and it's something that nobody really talks about is how we are trained as Secret Service agents. And there's something called the pathway to violence. And everything starts with a grievance. And obviously, the shooting in Minnesota that you referenced, and the shooting that occurred in Utah on Wednesday, there was some sort of grievance. We just don't know what that grievance is right now. We could probably, try to figure out, obviously, what that grievance is. But everybody goes from a grievance to an ideation to planning, research, probing, then execution. And the key is, as Secret Service, we were taught, is to get people off that pathway to violence. And that's what I'm talking about. These individuals show a grievance, and they're writing on the shell casings, and they're writing manifestos. We don't know exactly if this individual had a manifesto or not, but they're providing information prior to their acts or the execution of the violent act. And that's where we need to be better as a country. We need to see something, say something. As a friend, I don't know for certain, but there was probably some sort of leakage along his pathway to violence, where he had the grievance to the ideation, the planning, the research before he executed. I don't know, for instance, but I'd be safe to say that he probably researched that site prior to committing the act on Wednesday. He probably did a dry run. He drove. He found out where to park in the neighborhood. He just didn't do that, on a whim. So we all need to be better as Americans. And if something we hear doesn't sound right, we need to talk about it, and then obviously talk to the authorities, state, local, or federal.
Yeah, Tim, as you discuss a potential manifesto, we did learn in that press conference that the family is saying that the suspect became more, quote, political recently, as it relates to the current climate, as it relates to MAGA, as it relates to, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Are you seeing more of that in your line of work for those people that might not agree with what's happening in America, so they think they can take what's going on into their own hands, literally, to potentially make a change, even if it turns deadly?
Yes, unfortunately, and the rhetoric on both sides, then it justifies in people's mind that they could take a violent act to end whatever they may disagree with. So from the highest levels of this government, we all need to just put our differences aside and stop with this rhetoric. We can do it. You and I can do it. But I really hope, most importantly, our elected officials in and around the country can stop with this rhetoric on both sides, every part of the aisle, and we get back to some source of just humanity here, and so these people don't feel empowered to carry out these acts.
Tim, with your Secret Service experience, and I want you to detail it for us, for maybe the average person that might not understand what it takes to carry out safety and security, not only for the person that might be speaking at these type of political or school events, but also for those that are attending, in this case, students and faculty on the campus. So if we look back in time, we look back to the political season at that time, former President Donald Trump, we remember that tragic day where someone scaled a roof and then shot him in the ear, and so many people posing that question: how did this happen? How did Secret Service miss this? How did law enforcement not know to be on the roof already so that this doesn't happen. Months later, we are now in 2025, and we see the worst has happened to Charlie Kirk. It wasn't an ear. He lost his life. Are you seeing that strides are being made to make sure this doesn't happen again, or are you seeing a stop point to where people are just assuming that it's already done? Maybe law enforcement, they aren't all on the same page. Paint that picture for us, please, because a lot of unanswered question as it relates to how did this happen in the first place?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, I'm retired from the Secret Service, so I don't want to speak to what they're doing at this time. But I know that they've learned from that horrible experience in Butler, Pennsylvania, and they're only going to be stronger moving forward. They've been around for 160 years, and for the next hundreds of years, they're going to be even stronger. But from a level of like an individual like Mr. Kirk, he is protected by typically retired federal agents or local law enforcement. But what needs to happen is the holistic approach of a good security advance, and that starts with threat intelligence. And an individual like Mr. Kirk, you conduct an open source threat intelligence summary, and you can tell that the threat is high. Then that dictates how you approach these sites. And we're looking at some footage here of Utah Valley University, and you need to conduct a site assessment. And I've never been there, but there's high ground everywhere. You spend some time, a day, a week prior, and you create that site assessment. Then you create an advanced document for the actual visit. And everything we've been told is they had 6 security officers from the university there. Then obviously Mr. Kirk had his own detail. But for that magnitude of that crowd and the high ground exposure and a lot of the vulnerabilities there, the proper
look at this guy. A guy looks like a real winner.
In my opinion, based on what I've heard, to mitigate that threat.
They should shoot him right in the fucking head.
Back to being proactive and doing the work before the event actually occurs.
Looks evil as hell, man.
Tim, thank you so much for that detailed breakdown. We are getting new images just into live now from Fox. We finally have that side-by-side booking photo. As mentioned in that press conference, the suspect on your screen identified as 22-year-old from Utah, Tyler Robinson. He has been booked into
with the
Utah
same gun he
jail.
killed Charlie
Next,
to shoot his ass
obviously,
with.
many
The
people
same
thinking
one.
he will not be able to get any type of bond. He will remain there until that first court appearance.
Yeah, I mean, everything it sounds like, especially with the director of the FBI being there, typically a murder case would be held, or prosecuted by the state prosecutors. But I would imagine they're going to come with some federal charges as well. And I'm sure he'll see the full weight of the Department of Justice coming his way, sooner than later.
Tim, we appreciate your thorough breakdown and your perspective as we continue to learn
He
more.
would have been
Obviously,
better
you
off
mentioned
killing
a lot of
himself.
questions about a potential manifesto. So obviously, even though we did hear this press conference from the FBI director, Utah governor, other law enforcement agencies, this is not the end. Honestly, it's the
He
beginning
looked
of what we
old.
can
He didn't
further
even
know
look like
in the
22.
coming days
You're right,
and
Rob.
maybe even months. For those
He
that are
looked like
wanting to
he's
know
like
what's next, for those
he's
that are wanting
suffering
to know
midlife
where do we go
crisis,
from here, could you provide any final words to the viewers?
especially with that forehead.
Yes, we have to be patient as citizens. We live in this environment now where we get everything instantly. Let's let the judicial process, play out. And this is exactly. I never met Mr. Kirk, but everything he talked about. From my perspective as well. Let the Constitution work. Let this individual have his due process, and let the investigation continue. And then let like I mentioned previously,
Yeah, he
let
definitely
the
looks
full
like he's
weight
part of
the
that
Department of Justice
clan.
come at him, and I'm sure he will get what he deserves.
Tim Rebele, again, thank you so much for being so
He
patient.
thrown
You
to the
literally
firing
stayed on the
squad.
feed as we both listened in real time with the viewers as that press conference unfolded. It was initially slated to start at 9 o'clock this morning Eastern time, then AP pushing it back to 9:30. Then it finally start around 10:05 Eastern time. But as you are well aware with your line of work, law enforcement agencies having to all get on the same page as information is relayed to the media. Again, thank you so much for your thorough breakdown. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And as we continue to follow the very latest of this developing story, take a look at your screen. The latest from Vice President J.D. Vance on this Friday following that press conference that you saw right here on Live Now from Fox. He provides this quote on X, formerly known as Twitter. It says, quote, "I am grateful to Governor Spencer Cox, Utah law enforcement, Kash Patel, and the FBI for giving this case the time, resources, and hard work it deserved. This is a big breakthrough, and everyone who helped, from the law enforcement professionals to the people giving tips, deserves our credit and gratitude. In some ways, the investigation is still in the early days, but I do believe we have the shooter in custody. Say a prayer for Erica Yerk and those two beautiful babies. We took a big step this morning in getting justice for Charlie and for his family." He concludes by saying, "Thanks be to God for that." So again, that is the very latest from VP J.D. Vance on this Friday morning, as we are learning in real time the very latest. If you're just now tuning in, I want to get back to the shooter. As we are learning more information, I do want to share this tweet really briefly, though. They're from McNard out of Orem, Utah, with the Associated Press. They report a Utah governor calling Kirk killing attack on the American experiment, urging new generation to choose a different path. And as I did mention that to you in that press conference, again, popping that mugshot back up, that just into Live Now from Fox, that side-by-side booking photo, as we are learning the suspect in custody and connected with that assassination of Charlie Kirk is 22-year-old from Utah, identified there as Tyler Robinson. I will tell you in that press conference, as we were learning from Meg with the Associated Press, that the Utah governor is calling the Kirk killing, quote, attack on the American experiment. He did have some emotional words in that press conference where he did say, quote, "Is this the end of a dark chapter or the beginning of a darker chapter in history?" And we also posed that question right here on Live Now from Fox as we are working to learn the very latest. As we do so, I do want to catch you up if you're just now tuning in. Good morning. Seeing the time now, 10:51 here on the East Coast. We will continue with this thorough and detailed coverage on this Friday. For those of you all who might not be well versed with the tragic situation that unfolded on Utah's campus,
Yeah, that's what I was saying
a
earlier.
quick graphic. It's a
Remember I was saying it by his forehead?
Charlie Kirk's murder. Take a
I was
look
like,
at your
damn,
screen.
man,
We are
that forehead
learning that
looks
the
like it goes
31-year-old
like
was
way
killed
back.
September 10th at Utah Valley University. That detailed timeline, and we're going to go through it together. At 12:09 p.m. Mountain Time, Charlie Kirk walks on stage for his, quote, America Comeback Tour. This was a tour where he was expected to go across several college campuses and universities across America. We've even seen people join him for this tour, special guests. Then at 12:23 p.m. Mountain Time, Charlie Kirk shot with a single bullet on stage. He was immediately taken to a local hospital. 12:52 p.m. Mountain Time, University Police and Orem Police Department, that's the local Utah Police Department there in Orem, Utah, they announced they are investigating the shooting. Then at 2:40 p.m. Mountain Time, President Donald Trump announcing Charlie Kirk has died on Truth Social. The commander-in-chief not mincing words as it relates to this tragedy, as he says that he and Charlie Kirk were close as it relates to making America great again. Those are his exact words. So we are going to continue to follow the very latest. Of course, as you can imagine, people across America sharing some words about what they are calling the tragic murder of Charlie Kirk. I want to share with you some of the latest responses coming out of Los Angeles.
We've been well, I listen to him from time to time, and yeah, just to, unfortunately, I saw the footage of him being shot, and you know, you always pray for those things there's things that you wish you didn't see. And that's one of the things that I wish I would have not seen. I can't unsee it. And only because really his platform was for free speech, for whether we agree or not agree, or whether we like it or not like it, to be able to say it, to be able to express our opinion and our view, regardless of other, you know, that's why we live in this great country, so we could have that freedom to
Debate.
voice out our opinions, our views, and it seems to be silencing him seems to be the predominant theme. I really can't talk right now. I'm grief stricken.
What kind of emotions were you feeling too?
Heartbroken that brother of faith had to.
Oh goodness, let's play the music.
No one should ever have to go through what Charlie's family surely going through.
All right, that's like
But
that piano,
first and
like
foremost,
driving me crazy.
he was a man of faith. And if any Christian is wondering why, I just encourage them to read Psalms 13. Because just as David was asking God why, and he was in deep anguish,
Pretty tough.
he trusted God in the end. And that's all we can do right now, and that's what God expects of us. He expects us to lean on him.
What part of LA are you guys from?
East LA.
East LA?
Yeah.
I think my last thing, just you'll see the comments on social media, right? There's a lot of hate directed towards Charlie Kirk for whatever reason. How do you respond to those people that maybe think that Charlie?
Okay, and the music, I don't know if it's a copyright or whatever. They're just interviewing people here that are mourning Charlie Kirk's death. The fact that a killer has been we got him. That's what they're saying. We got the killer. They have the killer. He looks really weird. If we could stop this for a second and go back, and we could get his picture, his little mugshot here. Yeah, look at that. That right there is what killed, I would say, a genius, right? Because Charlie Kirk was very, very smart. Very, very snappy, very quick thinking, very patient. You know what I mean? And knew how to engage in debate. And, you know, the libs, the liberals, Democrats, whatever you want to call them, I call them the other people, you know, they're mostly aliens to me. I feel like they're very alien. You know, they come in the debate with Charlie, right? And that's what Charlie said in the beginning. He's like, hey, Utah, I hope you guys brought out your best libs, you know, for today, you know, and everybody's all cheering and stuff. And, you know, and it's like, it was all about debating and talking it out and you know, and speaking truth. That's all he did was speak truth. That's all Charlie did. Charlie spoke the truth, and by speaking the truth and actually spreading the truth, it just came to this. Gone at a very young age of 31, you know. America got really cheated to, like, with Charlie's death. Because I could see Charlie being something of importance, you know, if he would have been alive. Definitely could have been a candidate for possibly vice president. But this is how you change the course of history. This happens. It has happened before, and it will happen again. The left is very aggressive. You have to be careful with them. You know, they're very emotional. They are very sensitive, and you will never. They think you will never win a competition of debate with them because they think their views are the only view, and yeah, and then when they feel like they're losing, and they're not, they can't like fend anymore for themselves, they go and seek the next craziest thing, which is a weapon, and then try to silence you from speaking any more truth, because that's what you did. You kill them with the truth, and they can't handle the truth, and then they turn violent, and then they try to kill you. It's crazy, man. It's so wild. Yeah, I right. I can't believe anyone can get that pissed off over a difference of opinion. Yeah, it's the difference of opinion. The fact that he had this argument, he had this outburst during a dinner at his family's, I believe, and he got really radical, and he had mentioned about Charlie Kirk coming to Utah and going to the university, and how he engaged in that conversation with his family members there, and his hatred towards Charlie, and not only that, but the Republican Party, pretty much. This guy was he's a very loose screw, and we have a lot of this happening. Like, what happened with a few weeks ago with the trans shooter that shot up the Catholic Church, that shot up a church, and then a few months before that with these political people in Minnesota that got shot up and killed. And then you had that Tennessee shooter, the trans shooter, and in all these, like, it seems like it's a pattern, and the fact that it continues to happen and it's not slowing down, that's what, like, it makes you not feel safe in this country, because you don't know if you're the next target, if you're the next hit. Yeah, I'm sure Charlie would have. Yeah, I think he could have been like vice president. I really think he could have gone even higher than that, even possibly to the top, because he was very smart, very intellectual, very knowledgeable, like wise beyond his years, for sure. And the guy was patient, he was very patient, and he didn't show fear, even to his supposedly enemies. He never saw anyone as an enemy. He went there to debate and talk, and see the point of views, and just come to some kind of conclusion, but at least talk it out. Talk it out. And people can't handle the truth. People get offended easily. The internet has been a tool to offend and brainwash individuals like the one you see on the screen here. I would like to see his metadata, and where he has been spending a lot of his time, because I'm sure this guy had the internet, and I'm sure he had a cell phone. And if he took the time to write messages on bullet casings and so forth, this guy has a lot more treasure troves of information and stuff that he has in his room. I'm sure the FBI already raided that room and taken a lot of pictures and taken a lot of evidence out. This guy should not be given a lengthy trial for what he knows he did it. He admitted he did it. He actually confessed that he did it to a family member and a friend. He confessed he did do this, and like the family turned him in. The family, if it wasn't for the family, the FBI would have been playing like, I don't know, Duck Duck Goose or something, or maybe Tag. You're it. Like, they don't even know what they're doing. They remind me of the Three Stooges. I thought that was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, they come in with a press conference and then they're not saying shit, and they're like, yeah, we have pictures and videos, but we're not going to release it to the public because we're doing some checks on it, and some, we're going to use some AI, to help us. I'm like, what? That sounds stupid. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, no, you release those photos, you release the pictures to the public, so that way the public will be like, oh shit, that's that motherfucking Tyler. Yo, I went to school with that motherfucker. Like, yo, let me call in, because this is $150,000. Like, the family was like, bitch, hell no, that motherfucker's crazy. Let me call, because he confessed to us. Yo, yeah, this Tyler, that's his name, Tyler Robinson. Yeah, he's 22. He confessed to me that he killed Charlie, and like, and he not only I was the one he confessed to, but my friend was here too while he was confessing. Like this is like wild, it's just. And I think this is what America wants, right? A true ending to a tragic, for like a tragedy, because we really didn't get the proper justice on JFK. You know what I mean? And I feel like this was like a JFK moment. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like JFK getting shot and going down and dying. And the fact that I knew he was dead yesterday when I went live, and that was just like really just starting, I felt that energy so strong, overwhelming in my body. Like I never, like, I felt so weird, and I felt like that anger, and that it felt really hot inside of me, but it felt so weird, like death. It felt like dying, and I'm like, oh no, this guy's dying. This guy's dead. Like, this guy died instantly. I was feeling it. I do psychic stuff, and I'm a energy reader, empath, and I've been doing it for like years on YouTube. Now I just got more into the political stuff and more into the news and watching paranormal activity videos, which are pretty cool. Probably watch a few of them before I end the cast. But I felt that energy, man, and I knew he was dead. I text my friend Tyson Doug Cruz. I was like, man, he's dead. I believe he's dead. He's dead. I kept saying it. He's dead. He's dead. I said it, I don't know how many times. I know I said it more than like 30 times easily, saying that he was dead. Like, I know. I just knew. I felt it. And it was instant. You know what I mean? Charlie went quick. Charlie died at that university on the grounds. Yes, they picked him up, they took him in the car, and they rushed him to the hospital. But when he got to the hospital, he was already dead. They like, yeah, he's not with us. He's dead. They took him into the surgery to take the organs out, like the heart, all the organs, all the ones they need to be donated, and then they seal them back up, and then and they release them to the family or whoever's doing the services. You saw JD Vance went over and picked up the casket, and Air Force 2, and took it over to Phoenix. damn, that sucks, man. Just to think about it, just thinking about the whole thing, and then they got the killer, they got the person. This this person you see on the screen, he thinks he's gonna be part of history, right? Like he's forever etched in history as like Charlie Kirk killer. Like that sucks, right? Because he's always going to be tied into that. Like he was the man who killed Charlie, and what did that do for you? What did that do for like your side, your people? What has this done positively for your side? I mean, you're facing like the death penalty. You're going to be dying. You are dead. You're a dead man. You know, that's why I say this should be a speedy trial. This should not take long at all. This trial should take no more than a day. Like, go through the whole thing. Okay, you ready? Listen, you gain the death penalty. What time is it? It's 11:11. Can we do 12 p.m. today? Like in about, give them some time. But you got 49 minutes, and you'll be gone. Hit him with the shooting squad. Speedy trial. You know what I mean? Fuck this shit. Why do the people, us, the taxpayers, have to be funneling all this stupid money to have a stupid trial so he could claim innocence and claim insanity and claim all this other shit? But I claim that this was premeditated, and it was premeditated because they have the family statements stating that he has spoke about this like weeks before this happened. And he was got very political and got very angry and very radicalized. There's a lot more to the story. There's a lot. Let me see if there's anything more in reference to this crazy dude. Benny Johnson has, of course, he has a lot of stuff here. So let me go and check out Benny real quick. Because he is live. Let me see what's going on here. We're gonna jump onto Benny Johnson, and then we're gonna hear out what he has to say. So let me jump over here. Let's make this big. All right. Let's watch this together.
Ladies and gentlemen, pop over my screen, please. We now know that the bullet, again, these are the mugshots of Tyler Robinson, not the baby-faced, braced-faced photos we showed you from Facebook, but the eyes, the dead eyes of a hardened killer who has clearly been radicalized on his college campus or in an online community, a receding hairline, and someone who will most likely be receiving the death penalty for his hate crime, political assassination, exactly what we said it was going to be. Exactly what we said it was going to be. He was also working with others on Discord to get a drop point set up, and he engaged in political violence. He hated Charlie Kirk, and he carved political messages into the firearm. Carved political messages into the firearm. The engravings on the bullet of Charlie Kirk's assassin have been revealed. Hey, fascist, catch. This is anti-fascist Antifa. Antifa is an organized group. This is anti-fascist messaging. You have to go through all of his social media. Who radicalized him? Then up arrow symbols. All of these symbols are gamer symbols. I want to thank one of our subscribers for noting that these gamer symbols are a reference to a specific video game. Yep, it's a finishing move. In Helldivers 2, we saw his gamer setup. This is a gamer move. This is on the bullet casing and a reference to a 500 kiloton bomb that you can drop on enemies in the Helldivers 2 game. So that's what that means. The second one read, "Oh, Bella, ciao, Bella, ciao, Bella, ciao, ciao, ciao." So goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, right? In Italian, "You're gay," LMAO. So that's what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody that knew Charlie Kirk like a brother and joins our show live now. A man who, I mean, it's been said that Charlie Kirk is like the fourth Trump boy. Somebody who I've witnessed myself, the president.
I know they should
Charlie
be,
Kirk
Rob. They
like a
should
son
be
to me.
classified as a
Joining us now,
terrorist
presenting our
organization.
son, Eric Trump, live.
Eric Trump. Whoa.
Eric, thank you so much for being on the program. I know that we've learned so much in the last few hours about this, and I want to get to that, but something that nobody is doing and that isn't done enough is eulogizing Charlie as somebody who traveled the country with him, as somebody who knows him like a brother. I want to just give you the floor and give you an opportunity to speak to everyone about who Charlie was and what message his life brought to the world.
So rewind 10 years, Benny. He comes into Trump Tower. I'll never forget this. We're sitting in a conference room on the 25th floor of Trump Tower, and he's this, I don't know, a 21-year-old kid. And he comes up to me and he goes, "This is what I want to do on college campus. This is how I want to be involved in the campaign." And I go, "These are really incredible, aspirations and lofty goals, but you really think you can create a chapter on every college campus and fully change the narrative?" And he goes, "Yeah, I can. I absolutely can." And he just got going. He had a couple of chapters, but the chapters are small, and there was energy. He had a lot of energy behind it. But he literally spelled out exactly what Turning Point USA is right now. He spelled out the exact movement that he created.
Oh no!
Which you best saw.
Get to work, Rob.
5 seconds before he was assassinated by this jerk, right? When you saw those kids out there and they're waving their hats and they're pumping their fists in the air and they're so excited to see him and the energy is contagious and they're all wearing 47 hats and they're throwing hats to the crowd and they're having a great time. I mean, this was a rally on a college campus, and that is what he told me he wanted to create 10 years ago. And listen, you hear a lot of nonsense, especially in the business world, from people. "Oh, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to build." And 99% of the time it's bravado and BS. The people can't execute. They can't build. They lose their will. They lose their passion. Charlie not only built, but exceeded that goal. And I love him. Listen, when I saw Kash Patel speak, and Kash is a dear friend of mine. A dear friend of mine. When I saw Kash, and by the way, so is Dan Bongino. When I saw him speak a couple minutes ago, it was like, if you want to ever talk about full circle in life, almost brought tears to my eyes. The amount of stages that you, me, Kash, and Charlie have been on, and by the way, Dan Bongino, right? Over the course of our life. So here's a dear friend of ours who was one of the biggest impetus in helping my father win the White House and just standing by our side relentlessly. If we were in a courthouse, if we were getting attacked by an AG, Charlie was there and he was fighting and he was vocal. And so he lost his life in support of a movement that my father started, but obviously his beliefs and what he cared about, right? God, our Constitution, America, red, white, and blue.
The left can't
So
do
I'm seeing a
shit
friend
these
here that I've
days.
been on stage with 1,000 times.
All they do
I'm
is
seeing another dear friend that's been
passive
on the same
aggressive.
stage as
That's what they
Charlie and
are.
I and you. Up there
And
is
a bunch of
FBI
hypocrites.
director who's trying to hold it together as he's piecing together the timeline of how
That's
he
why I
found his
believe
buddy's
the
killer.
Democrats are a bunch of hypocrites.
And now Kash runs the FBI, and then you see Bongino, who again was a friend of Charlie's and a friend of mine and a friend of yours. And you want to just talk about this weird small world. Like, you never thought that this is how, at least I never thought, and it didn't hit me until 2 seconds ago, that this is how the United States worked. Normally you had some freaking bureaucrat who wore some suit, who carried some freaking revolver, who was a political, who didn't give a crap about the other, the person at the end of that rifle barrel.
And yet you see all these worlds of heart and soul collide where it's just, we're all fighting for the same thing. We're fighting for country. We're fighting for what Charlie believed in. We're fighting for friendship. It's so damn real. It's so damn raw. It's so uniquely personal to all of us based on how well you and I and all of us know these characters and the fight that we've been in this entire time. And man, it's crazy. I mean, you couldn't write this in a book. You really couldn't.
I know you have some breaking news, and so I want to get to that. You do have a new book out, and my producers are telling me that you want to announce something about your new book, and you've been on a book tour, and you want to take this moment to break news about something that you've decided about your book that details, I'm sure Charlie's in it, that details your relationship with your father.
Money's going to go to the family.
To this American moment,
The
please.
proceeds are going to go to the family.
So, Benny, I started working on this 3 years ago. I started working on it before Butler. It was after they tried to impeach my father twice. The Russia hoax that I was at the center of, because I was the one that was getting a call from the old FBI saying, hey, I hear you have secret servers in the basement of Trump Tower, right? Then they tried to gag my father. They got rid of his freedom of speech. They took him off of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. They took him off the ballot of Maine and Colorado. They went after our Supreme Court justices. They raided our home. They raided Mar-a-Lago. I became the most subpoenaed person in American history. I got 112 subpoenas in a short period of time. They tried to lock my father up. They tried to imprison all of us. They tried to bankrupt our family. And I started working on this book called Under Siege, right? And I named the book Before Butler, Pennsylvania, right? It's what they wanted to do. They wanted to kill us in any way possible. They wanted to kill my father. They wanted to eliminate our family. They wanted to strip his voice. They wanted to bankrupt us, right? And they would do anything to get to that goal. They wanted to make sure the Make America Great Again movement was dead and it was quashed and its leader was gone and the children of the leader were imprisoned and hated each other and had no voice and had no money. And we were extinguished forever. And that's how I came up with Under Siege. And then something happened, and it's called Butler, Pennsylvania, where they tried to extinguish my father's life on that stage. And by the grace of God, they didn't succeed. And then 2 months later, they tried to kill him again at a golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida, a course I run every single day. And every single day, the title Under Siege became more fitting as to what the radical left lunatics were trying to do to our family, what the movement that we created. And it's a movement of good. It's exactly what Charlie epitomized. And I launched it on literally Wednesday of this week. I announced this book. And you better believe New York Times and everybody's going to do everything they can to quash what I'm trying to do because it is so raw and so damn powerful. And I do not hold back. And I give every inside story about the corruption. And then 2 days later, literally 2 days later after I announced this book, we're all watching. And we see exactly what happened to Charlie. That is us being under siege, Benny. That is our party. That is our movement. That is God being under siege. That's our Constitution being under siege. That's our American flag being under siege. That's the family unit in this country being under siege. That's our democracy being under siege. Everything that we love, everything that we fought for. It's every one of those college kids that's indoctrinated. It's all of them being under siege. It's the revisionist history that they teach in our schools. It's that being under siege. And honestly, if the book came out a day later, I would have included the chapter on Charlie because there is no better example of all of us being under siege, exactly what I write about so granularly in this book, than what just happened to our dear friend. And so, St. Jude has always been kind of the biggest charity and calling in my life. I fought for kids with pediatric cancer my entire life. They tried to kill me because of it. I want to take a nice part of the proceeds of this book, and I want to invest that in Turning Point, because here's what you and I and all the other people can never allow happen. We cannot allow his mission, to ever die. It won't. We will never allow them to take us off the stage because that's exactly what they want. They want us to be Joe Biden. They want us to hide in the basement, right? I've been on that stage. You've been on that stage. You're on that stage every day. I'm on that stage every day. Charlie was on that stage every day. My father's out there every day. So is Don and so many incredible people in this movement. They don't want us to stand on that stage. And that's why they're shooting rifle rounds at us from rooftops. The same time as if we don't stand on that stage, we don't have a damn chance. If we didn't stand on that stage, Benny, Hillary would have steamrolled us. You know why? Because she had $1.5 billion in funds and we had freaking nothing. We were self-funding a campaign out of our back pocket. Us standing on that stage was the only reason my father won in 2016. Us having an impassioned voice and heart and fighting as a family unit was the only reason we won. And that's why they're taking pop shots at everybody, because they want to see us disappear. The reality is they're not going to make us disappear. The reason they're not going to make us disappear is this kind of stuff only further solidifies and concretes and epoxies this movement. It solidifies the movement because everybody realizes that we're on the side of love and God and
all right, Rob, have a great day at work.
These lunatics on the radical left are on
I'll
the
be
side
back
of
on later
absolute
tonight.
Anarchy, hatred, and destruction of our nation. And so I want to take a nice set of proceeds from this book of all the sales, and it's going to do tremendously well. It's already right at the top in 2 days of Amazon. And I want to donate it back in honor of our friend back to Turning Point. And literally I came up with this idea as I was walking to the studio right now, and I texted it to you, and he deserves it, man. That guy, you can't replace him. You just can't replace Charlie. And I know I'm being long-winded right now, but somebody asked me the other day, Benny, who replaces Charlie? And I shook my head. It's like, at first he was an unbelievable character, right? But there's certain characters out there. But then he had the wisdom and the smarts. But then he had the following. He had the gravitas. You can't create gravitas. You either have it or you don't, right? But yet he loved politics and the fight so much that it was kind of his hobby as well, right? You saw it. I mean, the guy works 7 days a week. Plus, you have to be able to connect with the youth. Plus, you have to be able to run a massive organization. Plus, you have to be able to fundraise. It's like an impossible combination, right? It's if you're a headhunter, like it's a unicorn combination that really only Charlie had. I don't care where in the world I was. I could be on a ranch in Texas, or I could be building a skyscraper in Chicago. And I saw Charlie. It was like the guy was everywhere. It was like Mr. Deeds. He was just, that guy wore through shoes because he worked so damn hard fighting for what we all believe in. And that's why we have to honor him. And so Under Siege, my story that I put my heart and soul into over the last 2 years just came out. And I want to donate a really nice part of this book in Charlie's memory to Turning Point. And he epitomizes everything that I write about right here.
What a poignant and wonderful way to remember his legacy. Again, Turning Point USA, link in the description. Now is the time to sign up and cement Charlie's legacy. It's what Charlie would want us to do, is to continue his work. He's laid the foundation. He's built the single most valuable youth activism group in the world. There is no comparison in any nation, anywhere. And now we pick up the mantle. Now we carry forward this that Charlie has so nobly advanced, to the point of giving his life as an American martyr, a Christian martyr, dying, doing what he loved, spreading light into the darkness. Eric has appeared with Charlie so many different times, and now we've seen in this press conference, Eric, what struck Charlie down. It was left-wing radical, Antifa, political activism. The shooter described how Charlie Kirk was spreading hate and how Charlie Kirk was too divisive to be on the campus, and then inscribed, "Hey, fascist, catch." Now, the term fascist, of course, commonly used to describe you, your family, your father, probably appears in your book many times. Now that we have this confirmed, Eric, I want to get your reaction to the political assassination of the generational leader, Charlie Kirk.
How does this kid, I mean, first of all, you read him, you watch him read the fact that he got this great scholarship and everything. He's going off to college, and his college is paid for, his education is paid for at a great school. He's got his entire life ahead of him. What's he so angry about? Like, I can't get there. I can't get there in my soul, right? It's, God, this young kid that had his entire life ahead of him, if he just challenged, channeled his energy in the right way. And it boggles my mind what and the irony of him calling Charlie a fascist and hateful and evil, and yet he's the guy with a 30-06 on top of a roof 200 yards away from a gathering where people are smiling and having fun and cheering and celebrating the greatest nation that God's ever created. I just have such a hard time wrapping my head around all of it. And does he think that those people, as they watch a bullet hit our friend, does he think that that's going to convert those people to become, Democrats the following day? Oh, the guy on the roof, he must be right. His political ideology must be right. No, of course not. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Again, all that does is just take the amount of people you see online right now and say, hey, I was a Democrat and I was barely holding on and I was trying to hold on and I was just hoping the party would. And honestly, I switched party because this is insane. Benny, the bullets are only going one way in this country.
Yes.
I saw my father. I was watching with my two children on my lap. One of them's 8th birthday is today. He was 6 at the time when a bullet nearly took out my father's head, right? Then I got the call and I drove 50 yards away from the guy as he was getting arrested, Thomas Cook, on 95. My best friend arrested the guy who tried to assassinate my father the second time. I write about it in the book. We were literally, big hobby of mine is actually shooting. We were shooting together. My buddy was a sheriff in the Palm Beach SWAT. He was part of the Palm Beach SWAT team. He was driving south on 95. We had just left each other. And my best friend was the guy who arrested the second guy who tried to kill my father as I drove by him with the guy's hands out the window. And then we see what happened to Steve Scalise. And then we see what almost happened to Kavanaugh. And then we see what happens to Charlie Kirk. I mean, the bullets are only flying one way, and yet I get to hear the nonsense and I get to watch all these networks every night, post tweets from Nancy Pelosi about, how deeply sorry she is. Yet, when Laura Burbey, proposed the prayer on the floor of the House, they laughed. And yet we get to see these nonsense tweets get posted by every network. I'm sick and tired of it. We're all pissed. You're pissed. Everybody's pissed. We're sad. We're angry. But what is it? I mean, how is it that the decorum is only going one way in this country, and yet we're the ones that are labeled as the fascists? Isn't that kind of ironic? Hey, the Republicans in this country are generally the ones that have the guns. We're the ones that believed in the Second Amendment. They're not doing the shooting.
There was data that ALX, will you please grab it? I saw it. Yes, it's on my timeline right now. Remarkable data that said something like 80% of Republicans say that there is no circumstance upon which you should celebrate somebody's death.
Exactly.
And only 30% of Democrats had the same take. It's like the clearest data I've seen yet, Eric, to the radicalization and dehumanization that has happened. And this is going to be my charge, is going to be going directly at that. Because there were people celebrating your father getting shot. I mean, some of the biggest celebrities in the world, some of the biggest music acts in the world were saying we need better shooters when your dad got hit in the head with a bullet. And this data proves perfectly exactly what we're facing here. There is a inhumanity and a darkness on the left that celebrates the death of people on the right. It does not go the other way.
Benny, I couldn't come to grips with it. But you know what? If you saw the purple-haired, 16-year-old girl who was, confused in life and, threw up some stupid, comment on Facebook, I could maybe kind of somewhat compartmentalize that the person was young and naive and didn't understand the world and misguided and probably had terrible parents and a lot of other things. I can maybe get there. When I watch TMZ and they're reportedly all laughing in the middle of a section after Charlie got killed, educated people with careers in the mainstream media who are grown-ups, who function in everyday society, who have real jobs. Honestly, I cower. I just can't believe that's the United States of America. I mean, the only thing that matters in in the world is preserving life and preserving happiness and preserving family. And as I watched blood shoot out of the front of my friend's neck, you have grown-ups. They came out and said that that's not what they were like, but it was clearly, I mean, timing wise, I think it was clear as day based on watching that video.
Yep.
And you have grown-ups at major networks cheering it. I mean, hey, I'm a God-fearing person, as was Charlie, more so than maybe any of us, as are you. Hey, these people are not going to the promised land. That much I can tell you. Like, they are not going to the promised land if that's how they act. When a beautiful, innocent, non-violent person who loved God, loved this nation, loved family, loved his wife, loved his children, takes a bullet to the neck from some sociopath. Those people are not going to a good place. That much I can tell you.
The sociopath who was clearly radicalized from what looked like a very normie upbringing, hunting, fishing, and so on, and then took a very dark and radical turn, also posed in a very peculiar Halloween costume. I don't know what to make of it. I wanted to just toss it up on screen. He dressed as President Trump not too long ago. I think this is just a few short years ago. And in an inflatable Halloween costume of your father carrying him on his shoulders. What happened here, Eric? You've seen so much of it, and you've seen so much radicalization against your family. What do you think happened here?
Well, I'm kind of curious what she has on her back. I don't know what that is. Is that a rifle? Because it certainly looks like a slung rifle to me, and I'm
yeah,
or a sword or something.
They have come from a hunting family. The family hunts and does outdoor activities together, and so yeah, this is a toy long gun.
Isn't the irony, Benny? Like, isn't the irony of all of this is like, like, he won this whole movement. He converted the minds and hearts and souls of all of these people, and yet maybe the last to not convert were the ones who had to inflict pain on him because he realized he was winning. Like they had lost the argument. And so,
yes,
which he had said so often, when somebody loses the argument, they resort to violence. Like, they had lost the argument. And by the way, so had academia in the United States of America. Like, academia and these teachers and the wokeness, they had lost the argument. They had lost it with students. They had lost it with parents. The only people that were holding on were, a small group of tenured faculty. But other than that, they had lost the argument. And yet the last to convert realized, having lost the argument, that they would just do what Charlie always said that they did when they lost an argument, which was resort to violence, which was one thing that Charlie never did. He just won the argument based on the merits of just being on the right side of the argument, which is first and foremost, but also then just being smarter and better read and everything else. And it's just unthinkable to me. It's
maddening.
Unthinkable.
There are too many similarities to ignore between Thomas Matthew Crooks and now the shooter Tyler Robinson in Utah, and it's just very strange. I don't know if there's any update. We still know maddeningly little about the man who shot your father in the head and killed a member of the MAGA movement. Maybe you could just explain, is there anything further that your family has been briefed on? Do we know anything more? Do you see any eerie connections? How would you engage in stopping this?
Benny, I write about this a lot in Under Siege because I am not satisfied. And, I write about it a lot, how my father is actually one of the most patient people you've ever met. And, for a whole host of reasons, he said that he's been satisfied by the explanations. And it's probably the first time in my adult life where I just respectfully disagree. And he's got a different set of calculus clearly than I do as a son. National security concerns, a whole lot of other things that all play into understanding the intel behind the scenes, but yet being able to compartmentalize somebody who tried to extinguish your life. I'm not satisfied, Benny. And I'm not satisfied because, honestly, the FBI was able to get into the phones of every single, 70-year-old lady who walked through the Capitol and took a selfie and destroyed their lives. Yet we have one picture of the Butler shooter. We have one, right? I mean, he was cremated, 5 days later, 7 days later? Most family pets aren't cremated in that period of time, yet the guy who tried to extinguish the 45th and very soon to be 47th president, were what, cremated within days? Never able to get into his multiple phones. No other picture of the guy was ever reported. We know more about the guy from Guatemala who got deported last week than we know about the guy who tried to take out my father. Now, does anybody actually believe if that was the opposite way around? Let's put any other Democrat in there. Do you really believe that the lack of transparency would have been as great as it was here? I'm not freaking satisfied. And I talk about that a lot in Under Siege. We deserve answers. We deserve to know who these people are. We deserve to know what's on their phone. And yet, everybody lawyered up. There was a big clash between all the law enforcement agencies. I know this because the Palm Beach County Sheriff down here is a good friend of mine, in terms of crooks. And obviously, it was partially their jurisdiction. And he tried to get everything, and they wouldn't give him anything. And everybody lawyered up, and everybody got subpoenaed, and nothing was said. And they let time, fade this into oblivion, including by a mainstream media who didn't want to talk about it because it didn't work for their narrative. I'm not satisfied with who the Butler shooter was. I'm not satisfied by anything that we yet know about this Florida shooter, albeit at least he's on trial. So we'll start to piece it together based on the fact that there actually is real journalism in this country. And that is you, right? That is independent voice like Benny Johnson and other podcasts, which are the only ones who will actually pick this apart, and actually talk about the messages that were written on these shell casings, because you better believe ABC and CNN and NBC, it won't make a minute of their time because they're dishonest and it doesn't fit their political narrative. But no, Benny, I'm not satisfied at all. I think there's been a huge injustice that's been done. We know so little about these people. And I can tell you as a son and as a guy who stood on that stage every day and as a guy who's fought the very siege that I write about in this book, you better believe I want answers more than anybody.
What accountability does the media have who constantly call you and your family fascists, dictators, Hitler, and then they know that they're messaging to mentally unstable people and weak people and people who are not of right mind? They're lunatics. And they know that what that messaging is saying is you could be a hero. You have nothing else going on in your life. You have no children. You have no chance of happiness. You could be a hero if you just killed Hitler. And as the little we know about Thomas Matthew Crooks, that was where he went. You can read some of his messages on other Discord and other servers. And that style of language radicalized him. Same thing here. Catch, fascist. This individual is radicalized against Charlie Kirk by all the slanders and libels that they used against Charlie. That messaging is distinct, and it is, in fact, a call to violence. I think they know what they're doing, and they do it to your family every single day. Just thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's ironic that he used a German rifle called a Mauser K98, right? To extinguish Charlie's life, yet he's the one calling us fascist. I mean, it's just like the great irony that he uses a German military rifle, right? And yet he's the one that's calling us Nazis and fascists. I mean, I'm having a really tough time with this one. I mean, but yeah, I mean, they used to call us Nazis. They used to say that, our family hated Jewish people. It's kind of ironic considering how hard I fight for Israel and how, the fact that 80% of the employees of my organization are Jewish and, probably 50% of my best friends are Jewish and my sister's an Orthodox Jew. And yet, I mean, they'd say this about my father. They'd say this, they used to say that my father was a sexist. Well, I mean, that's kind of interesting considering his first campaign manager, I believe the first female campaign manager ever for a winning presidential campaign. You know who that was? That was Kellyanne Conway. I mean, so he's so sexist that his campaign manager, the first term happens to be a female. And then wait a second, Susie Wiles, his second campaign manager, guess what? You know who she happens to be? A female. But yet Donald Trump is so, I mean, it's infuriating when they throw these talking points out. There's nothing to substantiate them. It's how they label you. But Ben, you know this. I mean, long before any of this stuff, this was one of the first talking points. I mean, they always played identity politics. They always did this crap. And you know what? This whole country caught on to it. Like the identity politics actually doesn't work anymore.
Yes.
You know why? Because in 2024, not only did we win the popular vote, but we won every single swing state. We won Miami-Dade, a county that literally hasn't been won in 37 years, never been won by a Republican. We won Miami-Dade by 11 points. So we won the Hispanics, we won the Venezuelans, we won the Cubans,
Miami
we
is a
won
Democratic city.
the African Americans, we won. I mean, we won the youth vote, we won the female. I mean, we won everything across the country. And by the way, one other really cool statistic. There wasn't a single state in the country that tacked more blue. They all tacked red, right? And so clearly the identity politics isn't working because it's the only thing that they ever ran on. And it's failed horribly. I mean, it's failed absolutely horribly. So when I see these guys engraving, 30-06 rounds, taking a knife and trying to inscribe, I mean, fascist remarks, I just find it so wholly ironic. Again, given this is the guy who's sitting on the roof of a building with a German rifle, taking shots at people who love our nation and our flag and our constitution and our way of life. I mean, I just very tough for me to get there, Benny. And I'm an open mind.
It's unspeakably evil, and I know that you've decried it. And I want to just ask, you have the ear of some very, very powerful people. You have some very powerful friends. Kash Patel, one of our mutual friends, was up on screen. What do you want to see happen here, Eric? Yeah. I mean, it can't continue spiraling like this. It spirals like this into like sectarian violence, into a failed state, into a zero trust society. Like, it can't continue. Yeah. Some hammer must be dropped. What would you like to see happen?
Well, we can't allow it to spiral. I mean, we can't allow it to spiral. And by the way, and that's how we win, and that's how we honor Charlie's life, by not allowing it, to spiral. It's I don't think you would ever want to see this side spiral. It would be the worst thing that could ever potentially happen for this country. And we need to be the people who put our faith in God, who put our faith in the Constitution, who put our faith in the United States of America, and fight for a society that we love. We need to bring the family unit back. You know what? I really, anything's possible in life, but I really question how many of these problems could be solved if you had greater faith in life and you had greater parents in life who were more engaged with their children and had more direction. I don't believe that the first sign that this guy could do something as horrible as, what happened 2 days ago was 2 days ago. There were probably warning signs, right? I mean, I could say that with almost perfect confidence that there are warning signs, and you would hope society would wrap these people, hold these people, hug these people, support these people, and make sure that they aren't a danger to others, and put up the red flag if they were ever going down that road, or they ever saw the signs that somebody was going down that road. And so, listen, I think we need God. I think we need church. I think we need family. I think we need community. But that's getting broken apart every single day. I mean, you have more and more. You've got so many families that are, females that are encouraged not to have children. Society is almost doing that indirectly. You have more single people than ever before. You have more social pressures than ever before. Traditional norms are being broken down in so many devastating ways. Clearly faith in this country is being broken down. You saw that during COVID as they were keeping people out of, you could go to your local pot store, in Colorado, but you know what? You couldn't go to the gym. Like, I mean, isn't that ironic? You could go to the liquor store, but you couldn't go to church. Benny, I call bullshit, right? And that's what's happening. But, the media allowed that to exist. The media allowed that to happen. In fact, they were complicit in this whole thing. And so we need to rewrite the ship. And I think we've already done so much of that. Let me give the positive side of this. The mainstream media is dead. Laura Trump goes on Fox News on a Saturday night, which is normally known as like Death Valley, right? And she has 2.6, 2.7 million people watching her, right? If CNN in the middle of the week on a Thursday at 9 o'clock gets like 500,000 people, they're doing great. What does that tell you, right? Why does your show do as well as it does? Why did Charlie Kirk's show do as well as it does, right? Why did Dan Bongino? Why were all these guys? Why is Joe Rogan winning? You know why? Because it's independent voice, and people are sick and tired of being spoon-fed. And so the power of the media has faded. The power of, the editorials has faded. common sense, you know, the pendulum has swung. If you went back 2 years, the pendulum was all the way to the left. And now the pendulum has swung so dramatically, right? DEI is dead. Woke is dead. Transgender swimming, you know, in men's swimming and women's sports in college, it's dead, right? Having no physical fitness standard in the United States military, it's dead, right? The pendulum is swinging back, and that's beautiful. And with that pendulum, I think we're going to get more faith. I think we're going to get more family, and I think we're going to get more humanity.
Yeah. Now, I want to end on a bright note, and I want to thank you for taking us there, Eric. And the bright note is this: a story about you and Charlie. And then, of course, I want to toss to you for something personal. We've done this with every guest. We've been bringing on Charlie's closest friends, business partners, the people who knew him the best, many times working behind the scenes. Charlie Kirk went sprinting to me one day in what we called his home, which was the Trump Hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., where Charlie was ubiquitous. And it was just like his living room. He just lived there. And he goes sprinting up to me and he shows me this photo on his phone. This one, but then it's a sequence where the two of you stand back to back. Here we go. And this is about who's taller. And I guess it's a Rorschach blot test because it's like, I don't actually know here. But he was so proud, and you're a really tall dude, Eric. He was so proud that he was, fighting you as to who's the tallest here. And he was so full of life. This was such an interesting battle for him. This was something that was so unique for him. And just the way that Charlie approached everything, which was full of vitality and energy and love and good humor. And watching his life, of course, was kind of like watching a miracle. It was almost like watching prophetic, something, the hand of God in the real world. It was prophetic what he was able to accomplish in 31 years. Many men 100 years old won't come close to what Charlie was able to accomplish in 31. And so that's my humanizing Charlie Kirk story. And I want to give you the floor to just recall something about Charlie, his life, a message, and what he would want, how he would want us to carry forward now.
So the first time we ever did this, Charlie and I always did this, you know, who's taller? And I don't know, Charlie, I love you to death. I know you're looking down on Benny and I right now and everybody listening, but I think I got you in this picture, honestly. Like I'm gonna go back to my desk. I'm gonna go draw a little. So buddy, I love you, but I think I have you in this one. But you're taller now, my friend. You know, that was I'll never forget. He calls me up, and my alma mater is Georgetown. You know, it's one of the best schools anywhere in the world. It's also probably one of the most woke. It probably fell Washington D.C. You know, obviously fell to the mob over the period of time, and it's a wonderful school. It's a wonderful place. I loved it, but Charlie goes, let's go back to Georgetown. I'm like, all right, hey, listen, there's a lot of places we can fight, but like, do we really want to fight in Washington, D.C.? It gets us nothing from a vote standpoint. It gets us, he goes, no, let's go back. We'll just have the greatest time. So I'm like, I'm in. So Charlie and I go back. It was set up by the Young Republicans Club. There was like 14 of them. We go showing up in this auditorium. The auditorium is packed. And within, I think the second I open my mouth, all these shirts come off. They're all wearing these like, you know, orange resist shirts or something. And they go walking out of this auditorium, but they didn't make any noise. It was so funny. They did it like silently. And Charlie literally stands up and I stand up and we both look at each other and we start laughing and we go, in the history of protest, that was single-handedly like the least energetic, you know, least impressive protest ever. And the rest of the audience goes absolutely crazy. And so here we are in the middle of Georgetown's campus, Washington, D.C. It kind of proves my point that Charlie would fight anywhere, anytime, anyhow, at any school, right? I mean, you would think it would be better to go to Penn State and fight on those campuses, right? Because the state that you're actually trying to win, right? I mean, you're not winning Washington, D.C. Right? You're not winning against this liberal academia at the time, but he didn't give a damn, Penny. He just, everywhere he'd go, he wanted to change one mind at a time. He always went into the kind of lion's den. And I took that first picture at Georgetown. I'll never forget that in the back of my former, obviously my alma mater. And we probably did that 20 times since. And he's a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful friend. And I bet he's looking down laughing right now. I truly do.
What a beautiful tribute.
Yeah.
And I know that we'll have many over the next week or so as we remember Charlie Kirk. I just want to remember Charlie Kirk and maybe give you the last word here, Eric, given how you know him so well. What does Charlie want us to do moving forward? What is his charge to us? What would be his message today, Eric, in closing?
Continue fighting for this country, continue fighting for family, and continue fighting for God. Very simple.
Ladies and gentlemen, a family that fights harder than any that has ever lived in America, the Trump family. Under Siege is the book.
I think I'm going to get that book.
Who broke the news today that he will be donating.
It's on pre-sale, pre-order
the proceeds of this
for
book
$29.
to Turning Point USA in honor and memory of Charlie Kirk and being there for his family, his beautiful Erica, and their 2 beautiful children. We are going to gather around Charlie and his family. We're going to protect them. We're going to make sure they want for absolutely nothing. And we're going to make sure that they are protected by prayers, most especially. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Trump right here on social media on X. You can follow him. He has 6 million subscribers. Of course, you know Eric Trump. His book is available live now. Yes?
Live now on Amazon.
All
Go to
right.
Amazon, everywhere
And here's
else.
the link.
It's live, but it's...
Thank you, Eric.
But it's not. It doesn't release until October 14th. So it is live to purchase, but you won't receive it until after the 14th or on the 14th. Because I checked it myself. I went on and I checked on both Amazon and on Barnes and Noble. Barnes and Noble, they have the book for $32, but they have a $3 off coupon, like $3 off the book. So it's $29 for the book. I was checking out Amazon too. Amazon is selling it for $29 also. And seems like it'd be an interesting book to read. I might pick up a copy. It's October, so you got like a whole month before that book is released, like released. Right now it's pre-orders to be released. So with that said, let's bring it back to me. It was been an interesting morning, and I think I'm gonna leave the paranormal videos for tonight. I think I'll leave that for tonight because I'm a little tired. I want to like rest up a little bit and come back on later on tonight. And I'm just happy that they caught the suspect, and now the chaos begins because now they could go through this kid's history, all his stuff, and see how he got radicalized and who he was getting influenced by and all that good stuff. There's a lot of information that this kid has, a very deep data like footprint he has, and it'll be interesting to learn like a mind of a killer. This is going to be a very interesting to follow up on. But with that said, I want to thank everyone who passed by today, and thank you so much for those who are rewatching. I want everyone to have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night. And I'll catch you on the flip side. And I will be back on later on this evening to continue on with a evening Friday night show with some little paranormal videos that we could review together, and maybe a little bit of news mixed in with it. But man, I'm happy. I know I said yesterday on yesterday's show when I was on with Tyson, I said, man, it'll be nice to wake up in the morning and they caught the killer, and they caught the fugitive that killed Charlie. And sure enough, it happened today. And that's amazing. And with that said, continue having a good day and stay peaceful and be peaceful. I'll see y'all later. Peace.